Seo Jae-won opens his eyes to a ceiling he hasn't seen in 3 years. The cheap plaster and the flickering mana lamp are exactly where they used to be. He sits up so fast his head spins. This is his old dorm room. His hands are smaller. The calluses from years of sword training are gone. He grabs his phone off the nightstand and checks the date. 3 years before the gate break. 3 years before his friends died screaming in the main courtyard. His heart slams against his ribs, but his face stays calm. He's been a hunter too long to panic now. The clock on the wall reads 6 in the morning. First day of the spring semester. He knows exactly what happens today because he's lived it once before. A senior named Ko Min-jun finds a hidden vault in the library basement at noon. The vault contains a B-rank mana crystal and 3 spell scrolls worth a small fortune. In his original timeline, Min-jun kept quiet about it and used the loot to jump from D rank to B rank in 6 months. Jae-won cracks his neck and grins at the mirror. Not this time. He throws on his uniform and heads out the door before his roommate even stirs. The academy hallways are empty this early. His footsteps echo off the stone floors as he walks past the training yards. He stops at the East Wing vending machine and buys a cheap energy drink. The machine whirs and clunks. He catches his reflection in the glass and almost laughs. 19 years old and baby-faced. No scars yet. No dead friends yet. He cracks the drink open and keeps walking. The library is a massive stone building with stained glass windows showing famous mages doing famous mage things. Jae-won pushes through the heavy oak doors at exactly 7:15. The librarian doesn't even look up. He heads straight for the basement stairs. The basement is all dusty shelves and forgotten textbooks. Nobody comes down here before noon on a weekday. He finds the spot he remembers. 3rd row from the back. Bottom shelf. A loose floorboard right underneath it. He kneels down and presses the board with his thumb. It clicks. The board pops up and reveals a small iron handle. He doesn't pull it. Instead, he finds a chair in the corner and sits down to wait. His phone buzzes with a campus-wide notification about the opening ceremony. He silences it. At 11:40, footsteps creak on the stairs. Jae-won pulls out a random book from the shelf and pretends to read. Ko Min-jun is a tall guy with sharp cheekbones and the kind of permanent smirk that makes people want to punch him. He's wearing a senior's sash and walking like he owns the place. He stops when he sees Jae-won. His eyes narrow. He asks what a freshman is doing in the basement archives. Jae-won closes the book and smiles. He says he's looking for something valuable. Min-jun's smirk twitches. He tells the kid to get lost. Jae-won doesn't move. He says he knows about the vault. Min-jun freezes mid-step. His hand drifts toward the wand on his belt. Jae-won holds up both hands. He says he's not here to fight. He's here to sell. Min-jun asks what that means. Jae-won points at the loose floorboard. He says there's a B-rank mana crystal under there and 3 scrolls. A barrier scroll, a flame burst scroll, and a teleportation scroll. Min-jun's face goes pale. He asks how a freshman knows that. Jae-won says it doesn't matter how he knows. What matters is the price. Min-jun's eyes flick between Jae-won and the floorboard. He asks what the price is. Jae-won names a figure. It's about half what the crystal alone is worth. Min-jun laughs and says that's insane. Jae-won shrugs and stands up. He says he can always sell the information to someone else. Maybe the academy board would be interested in unregistered artifacts hidden on campus. Min-jun's jaw tightens. He says he doesn't carry that kind of cash. Jae-won says he takes mana stones too. Min-jun pulls a small pouch from his pocket. He counts out 12 low-grade mana stones and drops them on the table. Jae-won scoops them up. The moment the deal is done, a sharp pain lances through his temple. His vision blurs for half a second. The memory of this vault and its exact contents fades at the edges. Still there, but fuzzy now. Like a photograph left in the sun. He blinks the pain away and pockets the stones. Min-jun is already on his knees prying up the floorboard. Jae-won walks past him toward the stairs. He says it was a pleasure doing business. Min-jun doesn't answer because he's already lifting a glowing blue crystal out of the hole. Jae-won climbs the stairs 2 at a time. His head still throbs, but his pockets are heavy. 12 mana stones is enough for a high-grade potion, and then some. He steps out of the library into the morning sun. Students are streaming toward the main hall for the opening ceremony. He joins the crowd and lets it carry him along. The ceremony is the same boring speeches he remembers. The headmaster talks about excellence and discipline. Master Bae, the combat instructor, stands off to the side with his arms crossed. He looks exactly like Jae-won remembers, a short man built like a brick wall with a face that never smiles. Jae-won spends the ceremony scanning the crowd. He spots familiar faces everywhere. Park Han-nul is sitting 3 rows ahead, laughing at something. In 3 years, he'll be the trigger point for a catastrophe. Right now, he's just a kid telling jokes. The ceremony ends and everyone shuffles out. Jae-won breaks away from the crowd and heads for the academy supply shop. The shop is a cramped little building wedged between the potions lab and the West training yard. An old woman with spectacles sits behind the counter. He asks what he needs. He points at the high-grade mana potion locked in the glass case behind her. She raises an eyebrow. She says those are usually reserved for faculty. Jae-won slides 6 mana stones across the counter. She looks at the stones. She looks at him. She shrugs and unlocks the case. The potion is a deep blue liquid that swirls slowly in its bottle. He tucks it into his jacket and heads back to his dorm. His roommate is gone when he gets there. He locks the door and sits on his bed. The potion tastes like copper and lightning. He downs half of it in one go. The headache from the memory sale vanishes instantly. His mana reserves, which were running low after the regression, surge back to full. He caps the bottle and hides it under his mattress. The clock says he has 20 minutes before combat class. He spends those 20 minutes stretching and doing basic sword forms with a wooden practice blade. His body remembers the movements even if his muscles don't. The training yard for combat class is a wide open space covered in sand. Master Bae stands in the center with his arms still crossed. 30 students line up in front of him. Jae-won takes his spot near the back. Master Bae doesn't do introductions. He says combat is the only subject that matters. He says mana theory and spellcraft are useless if you can't dodge a fist. Then he points at a random student in the front row. He tells him to attack. The student hesitates. Master Bae moves. 1 second he's standing still. The next he's behind the student with a wooden sword pressed against the kid's throat. The class goes dead silent. Master Bae says hesitation kills. He tells the next student to try. This one charges immediately. Master Bae sidesteps and sweeps his legs. The kid hits the sand hard. Master Bae works his way down the line. Every student attacks. Every student ends up on the ground. Some last 2 seconds. Some last 5. Nobody lands a hit. Then he points at Jae-won. Jae-won steps forward. His grip on the practice sword is loose and easy. Master Bae's eyes narrow just a fraction. He's seen something in Jae-won's stance. Something that doesn't belong to a freshman. Jae-won doesn't wait for the signal. He lunges. Master Bae parries and counters in the same motion. It's the same move he's used on every student so far. Jae-won is already ducking under it. He spins low and swings at Master Bae's ankles. The instructor has to jump back to avoid it. A ripple of shock goes through the class. Master Bae lands 2 steps away and stares at Jae-won. He asks where he learned to move like that. Jae-won says he watches a lot of videos. Master Bae almost smiles. Almost. He says videos don't teach footwork like that. Jae-won shrugs. Master Bae tells him to attack again. This time, he doesn't hold back. He comes at Jae-won with the speed of an A-rank hunter. Jae-won dodges the first strike. And the second. Third clips his shoulder and sends him stumbling. He rolls with the hit and comes up on one knee. Master Bae lowers his sword. He says the kid has talent. He also says talent without training is just wasted potential. He tells Jae-won to report for extra drills every morning at dawn. Jae-won nods and rejoins the line. The other students are staring at him like he just grew a second head. A girl with short red hair gives him a thumbs up. He doesn't recognize her from his original timeline. After class, he's walking back to the dorms when someone grabs his arm and yanks him into an empty classroom. The door slams shut. Jae-won spins around with his fist already cocked. Gil Tae-ho is leaning against the door with his arms crossed. He's a senior with messy black hair and eyes that look way too old for his face. He says they need to talk. Jae-won asks about what. Tae-ho smiles, but there's no warmth in it. He says he knows what Jae-won is. He says he knows about the regression. Jae-won's blood goes cold. He asks how. Tae-ho taps his temple. He says he remembers too. He says he's been stuck in this loop 5 times already. Every time he fails to stop the gate break. Every time he wakes up back in this same dorm on this same day. Jae-won stares at him. He asks why he should believe that. Tae-ho says Ko Min-jun found the vault at noon. He says Jae-won sold him the location for 12 mana stones. He says Jae-won bought a high-grade potion and dodged Master Bae's first 3 strikes. He says all of that happened in the last 2 hours, and there's no way a freshman should know any of it. Jae-won lowers his fist. He asks what Tae-ho wants. Tae-ho says he wants to stop dying. He says he's tried doing it alone, and it never works. He says maybe 2 regressors are better than 1. Jae-won thinks about it for about 3 seconds. He says fine. But if Taeho betrays him, he'll make sure the next loop starts with a broken nose. Taeho actually laughs at that. He says he likes this version of Jae-won better than the last one. Jae-won doesn't ask what that means. He's not sure he wants to know. Taeho pushes off the door and gestures for Jae-won to follow him. He says he has a place where they can talk without being overheard. They slip out of the classroom and cut through the back corridors. Taeho moves like someone who's memorized every blind spot on campus. Because he has. 5 loops will do that. He leads Jae-won behind the library to a maintenance door that's supposed to be locked. It isn't. Taeho pushes it open, and they descend a narrow staircase into a room Jae-won has never seen before. It's small but cozy. Desk covered in notes and maps. A bookshelf stuffed with journals. A single mana lamp casting warm yellow light. Taeho calls it his nest. He says he's been building it loop after loop. Every time he regresses, the physical changes stay. Jae-won runs his fingers over the maps. They're covered in annotations. Gate locations. Monster spawn points. Names of students who died in previous loops with red X's through them. So many red X's. Jae-won asks how many times Taeho has watched people die. Taeho's face goes blank. He says too many. He says that's why he needs help. Jae-won pulls up a chair and sits down. He says they should compare notes. Taeho grins. It's a real grin this time. He pulls out a fresh journal and opens it to the first page. He says he'll start with the broker. Jae-won's stomach drops. He asks what Taeho knows about the broker. Taeho says not enough. He says the broker is always one step ahead. Every loop, the gate break happens differently. Every loop, the broker adapts. He says they're not just fighting a person, they're fighting someone who can see the future too. Jae-won leans back in his chair. His headache from earlier is completely gone, but his mind is racing. 2 regressors against a cabal of time-manipulating psychopaths. He says those aren't great odds. Taeho says they're the best odds he's had in 5 lifetimes. He asks if Jae-won is in. Jae-won looks at the maps, the names, the red X's. He thinks about his friends dying in the courtyard. He says he's in. Taeho slaps the desk and says they start tomorrow. He says there's an underground auction happening off campus. Information brokers, artifact dealers, the kind of people who know things before they happen. He says they need to be there. Jae-won asks what they're looking for. Taeho pulls a folded piece of paper from his pocket and slides it across the desk. It's a diary page. Torn and yellowed. The handwriting is jagged and desperate. It mentions something called a trigger point, something that can cause a gate break early if activated. Jae-won reads it 3 times. He asks where Taeho got this. Taeho says he bought it at the auction 3 loops ago. He says he's been trying to figure out who wrote it ever since. He says he thinks the auction has more pages. Jae-won folds the paper and hands it back. He says they'll find them. Taeho nods. He says they'll need money. Lots of it. Jae-won pats the remaining mana stones in his pocket. He says he knows how to get more. Taeho asks how. Jae-won smiles. He says he's got 3 years of future secrets in his head. He says he's going to sell every last one of them. Taeho stares at him for a second. Then he laughs and says this is going to be fun. Jae-won isn't sure fun is the right word, but it's a start. Outside the tiny basement room, the sun is setting over the academy. Somewhere in the city, the broker is already making plans. Somewhere in the future, a gate is waiting to open. But for the first time since he woke up in that dorm room, Jae-won feels like he might actually have a shot. He's got a partner. He's got a plan. And he's got a whole lot of secrets to sell. The game is just getting started. The morning sun hasn't even cleared the rooftops yet. Jae-won is already walking across the empty campus quad. His breath fogs in the cold spring air. His body feels different now, full mana reserves humming under his skin. That high-grade potion did exactly what he needed it to do. No more running on fumes. No more hoping his next sale doesn't knock him unconscious. He's got 12 low-grade mana stones in his pocket and a full tank. And he knows exactly where he's going next. The Academy supply shop sits at the edge of the east courtyard, squat stone building with iron-reinforced windows. Most students walk past it every day without a second glance, because most students can't afford anything inside. Jae-won pushes through the heavy oak door. A little brass bell chimes above his head. The shop is cramped and dusty and smells like old parchment. Shelves line every wall from floor to ceiling. Glass cases display potions that glow faintly in the dim light. Scrolls sealed with wax. Enchanted rings locked behind iron grates. A single clerk sits behind the counter. Old man with spectacles so thick, his eyes look like they're swimming in fish bowls. His name is Clerk Hwang. Jae-won remembers him from the original timeline. grumpy, overworked, completely immune to student charm. Also, the only person on campus who stocks mid-grade mana conducting gloves. The clerk doesn't even look up. He just grunts and says the shop opens at 8. Jae-won checks the clock on the wall. 7:52. He says he'll wait. Clerk Hwang finally glances up, his fishbowl eyes narrow. He asks if Jae-won is a freshman. Jae-won says he is. The clerk snorts and says freshmen don't buy anything in here. They just come in to gawk at items they'll never afford. Jae-won reaches into his pocket. He places 3 low-grade mana stones on the counter. Their soft blue glow reflects in Clerk Hwang's spectacles. The old man's eyebrows climb toward his receding hairline. He asks where a freshman got 3 mana stones. Jae-won says he sold something. The clerk stares at him for a long moment. Then he shrugs and asks what the kid wants. Jae-won points at a glass case behind the counter. Inside sits a pair of dark leather gloves, fingerless. Thin silver threading runs through the knuckles in intricate patterns. They're enchanted to conduct mana 3 times faster than bare skin. In his past life, Jae-won didn't buy these until his 3rd year. By then, he'd already built bad habits. Slow casting. Sloppy mana flow. This time he's fixing that on day 1. Clerk Hwang pulls the gloves out of the case. He says they cost 8 low-grade stones. Jae-won doesn't flinch. He puts 5 more stones on the counter. The clerk counts them twice. Then he shrugs again and slides the gloves across the counter. Jae-won pulls them on right there in the shop. The leather is cool and stiff. New. Unworn. The silver threads pulse faintly as his mana flows into them. It feels like someone just unclogged a pipe in his chest. His mana moves faster, cleaner. Clerk Hwang watches him with something that might be curiosity. He asks if the kid even knows how to use those. Jae-won flexes his fingers. A tiny spark of blue light crackles between his thumb and forefinger. He says he'll figure it out. The old man actually laughs at that, a dry, wheezy sound like a creaking door. He says Jae-won is either very confident or very stupid. Jae-won grins and says maybe both. He pockets the remaining 4 mana stones and heads for the door. The little brass bell chimes again as he leaves. Outside, the sun is fully up now. Students are starting to trickle across the quad. Jae-won checks his phone. Combat class starts in 40 minutes. Perfect. He grabs a quick breakfast from the dining hall. Rice, eggs, some kind of grilled fish. Nothing fancy, but his body needs the fuel. He's still adjusting to being 19 again. No scars, no calluses, no permanent ache in his shoulder from the worm fight in year 2. It's weird. Good weird, but weird. He finishes his food and heads to the training grounds. Combat class is held in a massive open-air arena on the north side of campus. Sand floor, stone walls, viewing galleries for upperclassmen who want to watch the freshmen get wrecked. Master Bae is already there when Jae-won arrives. The combat instructor stands in the center of the arena like a statue. Tall, broad-shouldered, gray hair cropped close to his skull. He's got a wooden practice sword in one hand and the expression of a man who has never been impressed by anything. Ever. Students file into the arena in nervous clusters. Most of them are D rank. A few C ranks who think they're hot stuff. Jae-won knows better. He's seen what real combat looks like. This is kindergarten. But it's kindergarten he needs to survive without drawing too much attention. Master Bae raises his hand. Silence falls instantly. He says today's drill is simple. Survive. He points his wooden sword at the class. He says he'll attack each student one at a time. 3 strikes maximum. If you dodge all 3, you pass. If you block all 3, you pass. If you get hit even once, you run laps until you puke. A kid in the front row raises his hand. He asks what the lesson is supposed to be. Master Bae smiles. It's not a nice smile. He says the lesson is that life doesn't care about your rank. Then he moves. The first student doesn't even see the strike coming. Wooden sword slams into his ribs and he goes down gasping. Master Bae tells him to start running. The second student manages to flinch backward. The sword clips her shoulder. She's on the ground too. Master Bae doesn't even slow down. He moves through the class like a hurricane. Whack, down, run. Whack, down, run. Students are dropping like flies. Some of them are actually crying. Jae-won watches from the back row. His new gloves are warm against his skin. He's already running the math in his head. Master Bae's attack pattern is the same as the original timeline. First strike comes from the right, always. Second strike is a low sweep. Third strike is a straight thrust. He's seen this routine 100 times. He's drilled against it as an A-rank hunter. But right now, he's supposed to be a nobody freshman. If he dodges perfectly, people will ask questions. If he gets hit, he's running laps for no reason. He needs a middle ground. Master Bae reaches the kid next to Jae-won. Whack. Down. Run. Then those cold eyes lock onto Jae-won. The arena goes quiet. Master Bae asks if the freshman in the back has something to say. Jae-won steps forward onto the sand. He says he's ready. Master Bae's smile twitches. He says they're all ready until they're not. Then he strikes. First blow comes from the right. Exactly like Jae-won knew it would. He doesn't dodge. He doesn't block. He leans just enough to let the sword whistle past his ear. Close. Too close. Gasps from the other students. Master Bae's eyes narrow. Second strike. Low sweep aimed at Jae-won's ankles. Jae-won hops backward. Not graceful. Not perfect. Just enough to clear the blade by an inch. His heart is pounding, but his mind is ice. Third strike. Straight thrust. Jae-won twists his body sideways. The wooden sword skims past his chest. It catches the edge of his uniform. A thin line of fabric tears, but it doesn't touch skin. Master Bae stops. The arena is dead silent. 3 strikes, 0 hits. Jae-won straightens up and meets the instructor's gaze. Master Bae studies him for a long moment. He asks where Jae-won trained before the academy. Jae-won says he didn't. He says he just got lucky. Master Bae doesn't believe him. It's written all over the old man's face. But he doesn't press. He just nods once and moves on to the next student. Jae-won exhales. His hands are shaking. Not from fear, from the effort of holding back. His body remembers how to move like an A-rank hunter. But this 19-year-old frame isn't built for it yet. The gloves helped. The mana flow made his reactions just fast enough. But he's going to need more than gloves if he wants to survive what's coming. After class, the other students swarm him. They want to know how he dodged Master Bae. They want to know his secret. Jae-won gives them all the same answer. Luck. Just luck. He slips away before anyone can ask follow-up questions. Back in his dorm room, he pulls off the gloves and flexes his fingers. Silver threading has already started to mold to his hands. Good investment. He checks his phone. No new messages from Tae-ho yet. That's fine. They agreed to meet tomorrow. For now, Jae-won has other priorities. He pulls out a notebook and starts writing every secret he can remember from the original timeline. Gate locations, monster spawn points, hidden caches, names of students who died early, names of students who turned traitor. The list is long, and every single line on this page is worth money. He's going to sell them all, one by one, to the highest bidders. But first he needs to figure out who's buying. Tae-ho mentioned an underground auction. Off-campus, information brokers and artifact dealers. People who know things before they happen. That's where Jae-won needs to be. He closes the notebook and hides it under his mattress. Then he lies back on his bed and stares at the ceiling. But right now, in this moment, Jae-won is ahead of schedule. He's got mana stones in his pocket. He's got enchanted gloves on his hands. He's got a partner who's been through 5 loops. And he's got 3 years of secrets burning a hole in his brain. The broker doesn't know it yet, but the game just changed. Jae-won closes his eyes. Tomorrow, he'll find that auction. Tomorrow, he'll start selling. Tonight, he sleeps. And for the first time since he woke up in this dorm room, he sleeps without dreaming of the gate break. Jae-won wakes to a knock at his door. It's barely dawn. He rolls off the mattress and lands in a crouch. Old habits die hard. Another knock, sharper this time. He pulls on a shirt and opens the door. Gil Tae-ho is leaning against the frame. His arms are crossed, and he's got that look on his face, the one that says he knows something you don't. Tae-ho asks if he can come in. Jae-won steps aside. Tae-ho walks past him and scans the room. His eyes land on the mattress, on the faint bulge where the notebook is hidden. Then he turns around and drops the bomb. He says they need to talk about the future. Not the general future, the specific one. The one where the gate break kills everyone in 3 years. Jae-won's blood goes cold. He keeps his face blank and asks what Tae-ho means. Tae-ho laughs. Not a friendly laugh. The laugh of someone who's heard that exact lie before. He says Jae-won isn't the only one who remembers. He says he's been through this 5 times already. 5 loops. 5 failed attempts to stop the gate break. Jae-won doesn't move. His mind is racing. 5 loops means Tae-ho has more experience than him. More knowledge. More scars. Tae-ho pulls down the collar of his uniform. A jagged white line runs from his collarbone to his sternum. He says he got that in loop 3. A worm's claw. Same worm that kills 17 students in year 2. Jae-won knows the scar. He's seen it before. In the original timeline, Taeho had it too. But in the original timeline, Taeho never talked about it. Taeho says he's been watching Jae-won since the semester started. He noticed the gloves. The way Jae-won dodged Master Bae. The vault sale to Ko Min-jun. He says Jae-won moves like someone who's already fought, like someone who knows what's coming. Jae-won exhales slowly. No point in denying it. He asks how many others remember. Taeho says just them, as far as he knows. But there's a catch. There's always a catch. Taeho says the broker adapts. Different location, different trigger, different casualties. The broker learns from each failure, and the broker has been doing this a lot longer than either of them. Jae-won asks if Taeho knows who the broker is. Taeho shakes his head. He says he's gotten close twice. Both times the loop ended before he could confirm. But he knows one thing for sure. The broker isn't working alone. There's a network, regressors, informants, and agents planted inside the academy. Taeho calls them the future harvesters, people who use future knowledge for profit, just like Jae-won is trying to do. Jae-won asks what Taeho wants from him. Taeho says he wants a partner, someone who can watch his back, someone who understands the stakes. He says Jae-won already proved he can handle himself. Dodging Master Bae's full combo on day 1 isn't luck, it's proof. Jae-won considers it. Working alone has limits. He knows that. He hit the 3 sale cap yesterday and his head still throbs. Having someone else who remembers means double the knowledge, double the coverage, double the chance of finding the trigger point before it's too late. He nods. He says he's in. Taeho grins. It's the first real smile Jae-won has seen on him. Taeho says there's something Jae-won needs to see. He tells Jae-won to follow him. They leave the dorm. The hallway is empty. Most students are still asleep. Outside, the campus is cold and gray. Frost clings to the grass. Their breath fogs in the air. Taeho leads Jae-won past the main academic building, past the training arenas, toward the old library. Jae-won already knows this route. He was here yesterday. But Taeho doesn't stop at the basement entrance. He walks around the side of the building. There's a narrow gap between the library wall and the cliff face, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. Taeho slips inside without hesitation. Jae-won follows. The gap opens into a small courtyard. It's hidden from every angle. No windows overlook it. No paths lead here. In the corner, half buried in ivy, is a rusted metal door. Taeho pulls a key from his pocket. He says he found this place in Loop 2. It used to be a maintenance shed. Now it's his nest. The door creaks open. Inside, the room is small but packed. Maps cover every inch of wall space. Red strings connect pins and photographs. Corkboard holds dozens of handwritten notes. Dates. Names. Gate locations. Monster spawn points. Taeho has been documenting everything. 5 loops of information. 5 loops of failures. Jae-won steps closer to the maps. He recognizes some of the markings. Gate collapse in the eastern training field. Worm nest under the bell tower. Ambush point near the southern gate. But there are other markings he doesn't recognize. Locations that never had gates in his timeline. Taeho points to one of them. A red circle around the old amphitheater. He says in Loop 4, a gate opened there during the Spring Festival. It killed 43 students before anyone could react. Jae-won stares at the circle. In his timeline, the amphitheater was safe. The broker changed it. Taeho says that's the problem. The broker doesn't just adapt, the broker experiments. Each loop tests a different trigger point, a different location, a different method of opening the gate. And every time, the death toll gets worse. Jae-won asks if Taeho has found the trigger for this loop. Taeho pulls a folded paper from his jacket. It's a list. 10 names. Students and faculty. Taeho says these are the most likely candidates. People who were near gate sites in previous loops. People who showed unusual behavior before the breaks. Jae-won scans the list. He recognizes 3 names. Park Ha-nul, Bae Su-ah, and someone named Hwang Do-yoon. The other 7 are unfamiliar. Taeho says they need to investigate all of them. Narrow the list. Find the trigger point before the broker activates it. Jae-won asks how much time they have. Taeho says he doesn't know. In some loops, the gate break happened in year 3. In others, it happened in year 1. The earliest was 6 months from now. The latest was 2 days before graduation. Jae-won's jaw tightens. 6 months is nothing. He asks what the plan is. Tae-ho says they pool their knowledge. Every secret Jae-won remembers. Every detail Tae-ho has documented. Cross-reference them. Find the pattern. And when they identify the trigger, they eliminate it. Jae-won asks if eliminate means what he thinks it means. Tae-ho doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. Jae-won looks at the maps again. At the red strings and the crossed-out names. Some of those names have lines through them. He asks what happened to those people. Tae-ho says they were triggers in previous loops. He dealt with them. The gate break still happened anyway, just later. Or somewhere else. Or with a different trigger. The broker always has a backup plan. Jae-won runs a hand through his hair. This is bigger than he thought. Selling secrets for mana stones was simple. This is a war. Tae-ho says there's one more thing. He reaches into a drawer and pulls out a torn page. Yellowed paper. Jagged handwriting. Jae-won recognizes it immediately. It's a diary page. Tae-ho says he found it at an underground auction in Loop 3. It belonged to someone who worked with the broker. Someone who regretted it. The page mentions a trigger point. A specific object or person that can force a gate open early. But the name is smudged. Illegible. Tae-ho says the auction happens tomorrow night. Off campus. In the basement of an old warehouse near the river. He says they need to go. There might be more pages. More clues. Jae-won asks if the auction is dangerous. Tae-ho says it's run by information brokers and artifact dealers. People who trade in secrets. Some of them are harvesters. Some of them are just opportunists. All of them are armed. Jae-won says that sounds like his kind of party. Tae-ho almost smiles. He says they'll need disguises. And money. Jae-won has 4 low-grade mana stones left. Not enough for a high-stakes auction. He says he'll figure something out. Tae-ho pulls a small pouch from his belt. He tosses it to Jae-won. Inside are 8 mid-grade mana stones. Jae-won stares at them. That's more money than most students see in a year. He asks where Tae-ho got them. Tae-ho says Loop 4. He knew where a hidden cache was buried. Dug it up on day 1. He's been sitting on it ever since. Jae-won tucks the pouch into his pocket. He says he'll pay Tae-ho back. Tae-ho says he can pay him back by not dying. Fair enough. They spend the next hour going over the maps. Tae-ho explains every marking, every failed attempt, every student who died in previous loops. Jae-won memorizes it all. His head throbs from the information overload, but he doesn't stop. He can't stop. When they're done, the sun is fully up. Light filters through the ivy-covered windows. Tae-ho says they should split up. Jae-won has morning drills with Master Bae. Tae-ho has his own classes to attend. They agree to meet at sunset. Same place. Then they'll head to the auction together. Jae-won slips out of the hidden courtyard. The campus is waking up. Students shuffle toward the dining hall. Instructors prepare for morning classes. Everything looks normal, peaceful, safe. But Jae-won knows better now. The broker is already moving. The trigger point is already in play. Somewhere on this campus, one of the 10 names on Tae-ho's list is about to make a choice. A choice that will kill everyone. Jae-won's hands curl into fists. His new gloves creak with the movement. Silver threads pulse faintly as mana flows through them. He's got 6 months, maybe less. But he's not alone anymore. He's got a map of every failure, and he's got a list of targets. But this loop is different. This loop has 2 regressors, and they're not going down without a fight. Jae-won heads toward the training arena. Master Bae is waiting. Morning drills start in 10 minutes. Time to get to work. Jae-won's phone buzzes before he even reaches the arena. A notification from an unknown number. The message is short. It asks for the date of the next gate collapse. No greeting. No name. Just the question. Jae-won stops walking. His thumb hovers over the screen. Nobody should know he has that information. Nobody except Tae-ho. And Tae-ho wouldn't ask through an encrypted message. They just spent 2 hours together. He would have asked in person. So who sent this? Jae-won's pulse kicks up. He types a response. Asks who's asking. 3 dots appear. Then disappear. Then appear again. The reply lands like a punch. Someone who knows what you sold. Ko Min-jun. The vault sale happened yesterday. Only 3 people know about it. Him, Min-jun, and Tae-ho. Min-jun wouldn't broadcast that he paid for secret information. It makes him look weak. Tae-ho already revealed he's been watching. Tae-ho doesn't need to send cryptic messages. He has Jae-won's number. He knows where Jae-won sleeps. So this is someone else. Someone who's been watching too. Jae-won types again. He asks what they're offering. The response comes instantly. 5 mid-grade mana stones for 1 date. That's more than Taeho gave him for the entire auction fund. Jae-won stares at the number. 5 mid-grade stones. That's enough to buy real gear. Enchanted boots. A proper weapon. The kind of equipment that keeps you alive when a gate opens. But selling a gate collapse date is different from selling a vault location. A vault is just treasure. A gate collapse is a massacre. If he gives this person the date and they use it to accelerate the collapse, he'd be selling the deaths of everyone on campus. Jae-won's jaw tightens. He types his answer. Not for sale. He shoves the phone into his pocket, keeps walking toward the arena. The phone buzzes again, and again, and again. 3 messages in rapid succession. He ignores them. He's already late for drills. Master Bae doesn't tolerate late. The arena gates loom ahead. Sand floor. Stone walls. Students already lined up in formation. Master Bae stands at the center. His wooden practice sword rests on his shoulder. He spots Jae-won the second he walks in, points at the empty spot in the front row. Jae-won takes his position. The student next to him glances over. It's a girl with short cropped hair and a scar across her knuckles. She whispers that Bae's in a mood today. Jae-won doesn't respond. His phone buzzes again. He can feel it vibrating against his thigh. Master Bae's voice cuts through the arena. He announces today's drill is different. No more one-on-one. Today they fight in pairs. 2 students against 2 others. Full contact. First pair to land 3 clean hits wins. Losing pair runs 10 laps. Jae-won's stomach drops. He's never done pair drills in the original timeline. This is new. This is different. The phone buzzes again. Master Bae calls out the first pairing. Jae-won and the Scar Knuckle Girl against 2 upperclassmen. Jae-won recognizes one of them, Hwang Do-yoon, the name from Taeho's list. Tall, broad shoulders, cold eyes. Ranked B+ in combat, one of the strongest students in the academy. And he's staring directly at Jae-won, not with curiosity, with recognition. Jae-won's skin prickles. Do-yoon knows something. The drill begins. Do-yoon's partner rushes the Scar Knuckle Girl. She parries the first strike, stumbles back from the second. Do-yoon doesn't move. He just watches Jae-won. Then he speaks, quiet enough that only Jae-won can hear. He says the broker sends his regards. Jae-won's heart stops. Do-yoon lunges. His wooden sword whistles through the air. Jae-won barely dodges. Blade clips his shoulder. Not a clean hit, but close. Master Bae shouts that it counts as a graze. 1 more graze equals a full hit. Jae-won's mind races. Do-yoon is a harvester, one of the broker's agents, and he just announced himself in the middle of a combat drill. Bold, stupid, or confident enough that it doesn't matter. Do-yoon presses the attack. His strikes are fast, precise. He's not fighting like a student. He's fighting like someone who's already killed. Jae-won blocks the 3rd strike with his forearm. The impact rattles his bones. His new gloves pulse with mana. The silver threads flare bright. He shoves Do-yoon back, gains 3 feet of space. The Scar Knuckle Girl is still fighting Do-yoon's partner. She's holding her own. Barely. Jae-won needs to end this fast. He switches tactics, stops dodging, starts attacking. His first strike goes low. Do-yoon parries. Second strike goes high. Parried again. Third strike is a feint. Jae-won pulls back at the last second, spins, and lands a clean hit across Do-yoon's ribs. Master Bae calls the point. 1 hit for Jae-won's team. Do-yoon's eyes narrow. He's not angry. He's amused. He says the broker was right about Jae-won. Says he's resourceful. Then he attacks again. Faster this time. Much faster. Jae-won blocks. 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 But Do-yoon isn't aiming for clean hits anymore. He's aiming to hurt. A strike to the knee. Jae-won's leg buckles. A strike to the wrist. His grip loosens. A strike to the temple. Jae-won's vision blurs. Master Bae doesn't stop the drill. He's watching too closely, waiting for something. Jae-won's phone buzzes again. The vibration throws off his timing. Do-yoon's sword slams into his chest. Clean hit. Master Bae calls it. Score is tied. 1 hit each. Do-yoon leans in close, whispers that the broker wants the date, says Jae-won can name his price, says refusing isn't an option. Then he steps back, raises his sword, and waits. Jae-won's chest heaves. His head pounds. The memory of the vault is already fuzzy. If he sells the gate date, that memory goes fuzzy too. He won't know when the collapse happens. He won't be able to stop it. But Do-yoon isn't asking. He's threatening. Jae-won knows what happens to people who refuse the broker. Taeho's crossed-out names flash through his mind. People who were triggers, people who were dealt with. Jae-won makes a decision. He lowers his sword, turns to Master Bae, and forfeits the match. The arena goes silent. Master Bae's expression is unreadable. He asks if Jae-won is certain. Jae-won says yes, says he's not feeling well, says he needs to visit the infirmary. Master Bae nods slowly, dismisses him. Jae-won walks out of the arena. Do-yoon's eyes follow him the whole way. The Scar-Knuckle girl stares too. Everyone stares. Jae-won doesn't care. He needs to find Taeho, now. The phone buzzes one more time. Jae-won pulls it out, reads the message. It's from the unknown number again. It says the broker is patient, says he'll wait. Says Jae-won has until the auction tomorrow night to change his mind. Jae-won's blood runs cold. They know about the auction. They know everything. He breaks into a run. Doesn't stop until he reaches the hidden courtyard behind the library. The rusted metal door is still half buried in ivy. He pounds on it. No answer. Pounds again. The door creaks open. Taeho pulls him inside. Jae-won tells him everything. The message, the drill, Do-yoon, the broker's ultimatum. Taeho listens without interrupting. When Jae-won finishes, Taeho says one word. Harvesters. He walks to the corkboard. Points at Hwang Do-yoon's name. Says Do-yoon was a trigger in Loop 2. Says he killed 6 students before the gate even opened. Says in Loop 4, Do-yoon was the one who planted the explosive runes in the dining hall. Taeho's voice is flat, but his hands are shaking. He's not scared. He's furious. Jae-won asks what they do now. Taeho says they stick to the plan. They go to the auction. They find the diary page. They identify the trigger point, and they eliminate it before the broker can activate it. Jae-won asks about Do-yoon. Taeho says Do-yoon won't move openly. Not yet. The broker likes to operate in the shadows, uses agents like Do-yoon for intimidation, but actual violence draws attention. And the broker can't afford attention. Not this early in the loop. Jae-won nods. His heartbeat slows. Panic fades. Replaced by something colder, something sharper, determination. He asks Taeho if he has the disguises ready. Taeho pulls a duffel bag from under the desk, opens it. Inside are 2 black cloaks, 2 masks enchanted with minor illusion spells, and 2 forged identification badges. Jae-won asks where he got the badges. Taeho says Loop 3. He learned how to forge them after the first auction raid. Jae-won doesn't ask what happened in that raid. He doesn't want to know. They spend the rest of the day preparing. Taeho briefs him on the auction layout. The warehouse basement. 2 exits. 1 main entrance. 1 service tunnel. The auctioneer is an old woman named Madame Seok. She's neutral. Doesn't care who buys what, as long as the money is good. But her security team is composed of former hunters. All of them C rank or higher. If a fight breaks out, they'll end it fast. Jae-won memorizes every detail. The layout, the exits, the security patterns. His head throbs from the information density. But he doesn't stop. He can't stop. By sunset, they're ready. Taeho hands Jae-won one of the cloaks, one of the masks, one of the badges. Jae-won puts them on. The mask hums softly against his skin. A minor illusion spell makes his face look blurry, unrecognizable. Taeho does the same. They look like shadows, like ghosts, like no one at all. Perfect. They slip out of the courtyard as the last light fades. The campus is quiet. Most students are in their dorms. The instructors are in the faculty lounge. Nobody sees them leave. They walk through the city streets, past closed shops, past flickering street lamps, toward the river. The warehouse appears after 20 minutes. Old, rusted, abandoned looking, but Jae-won can feel the mana wards humming beneath the surface. This place is protected, heavily. Taeho leads him to a side door. A man in a dark coat checks their badges. Nods. Lets them through. The basement is larger than Jae-won expected. Rows of chairs. A stage at the front. Dozens of people already seated. All of them masked, all of them armed. The air smells like old paper and ozone, magic residue from 100 different artifacts. Taeho guides Jae-won to a seat near the back, close to the service tunnel exit, just in case. Madame Seok takes the stage. She's older than Jae-won imagined. Silver hair pulled into a tight bun, eyes like polished stones. She welcomes everyone to the auction, says the rules are simple. No violence, no theft, no revealing identities. Break a rule, and her security team breaks you. The crowd murmurs approval. The first item goes up for bid. A scroll of lightning barrier, B rank. Bidding starts at 3 mid-grade stones. Jae-won watches, waits. The diary page isn't on the list of items. Taeho said it might not be advertised. Some items are too dangerous to announce publicly. They only appear when the right buyer asks. 2 hours pass. Items come and go. Weapons, artifacts, information packets. Jae-won's patience wears thin. Then Madame Suk announces a special item, a collection of pages from a dead man's journal. She says they belong to someone who worked for a powerful figure, someone who regretted their choices. The pages contain sensitive information. Starting bid is 10 mid-grade stones. Jae-won's heart pounds. This is it. The bidding starts. A masked woman in the front row offers 12. A man near the exit offers 15. Jae-won raises his hand, offers 18. The woman counters with 20. Jae-won grits his teeth. He has 8 stones from Taeho, plus 4 of his own. 12 total. He's already over budget, but he can't let this slip away. He raises his hand again, offers 22. The room goes quiet. Madame Suk raises her gavel. Then a voice from the back of the room speaks. 25. Jae-won turns. The speaker is tall, broad-shouldered, masked. But Jae-won recognizes the stance, the posture. It's Hwang Do-yoon. He's here, and he's bidding against them. Taeho grabs Jae-won's arm, whispers that they need to leave. Now. Jae-won doesn't argue. They slip out of their seats, move toward the service tunnel. Behind them, Do-yoon's voice rings out. He withdraws his bid, says the pages aren't what he's looking for after all. Madame Seok's gavel falls. Sold to the young man in the back. For 22 mid-grade stones. Jae-won freezes. He just bought the pages. With money he doesn't have. Taeho hisses at him to keep moving. They reach the service tunnel, push through the door, and run. The tunnel is dark, damp. Their footsteps echo off the stone walls. Behind them, a door slams open. Heavy boots pound the ground. Do-yoon's voice echoes through the tunnel. He says the broker's offer still stands. Says Jae-won can pay for the pages with the gate date. Says it's the only way he leaves this tunnel alive. Jae-won doesn't answer, just runs faster. The tunnel splits ahead. Taeho takes the left fork. Jae-won follows. They burst out into an alley. Cold night air hits Jae-won's face. The river glints in the moonlight. Footsteps behind them. Closer now. Do-yoon isn't alone. 3 other figures flank him. All masked. All armed. Jae-won and Taeho sprint along the riverbank. The academy gates are a mile away. If they can reach campus, the wards will protect them. The harvesters can't attack openly on academy grounds, not without exposing themselves. They run harder, faster. The gates appear in the distance. 500 yards. 400. 300. Jae-won's lungs burn. His legs scream. Behind them, Do-yoon raises a hand. A spell crackles at his fingertips. Taeho shoves Jae-won sideways. The bolt of dark energy sails past, shatters a street lamp. Glass rains down. Keep running. 200 yards. 100. They reach the gates, stumble through, collapse on the grass inside the academy wards. Behind them, Do-yoon stops at the gate line. He doesn't cross. He just stands there, masked, silhouetted against the moonlight. Then he turns and walks away. Jae-won lies on his back, staring at the stars. His chest heaves, his head pounds. But he's alive. They're both alive. Taeho sits up, brushing grass off his cloak. He looks at Jae-won, says they just made an enemy, a dangerous one. Jae-won nods. Then he reaches into his pocket, pulls out a folded piece of paper, yellowed, jagged handwriting, the diary page. Taeho stares. Jae-won grins. Says he grabbed it off the auction table while everyone was watching Do-yoon. Taeho almost laughs. Almost. He says Jae-won is insane. Jae-won says insane is what they need. He unfolds the page, holds it up to the moonlight. The handwriting is barely legible, but one line stands out. The trigger point is not a person. It's a place. The bell tower. And the activation date is already set. 2 weeks from now. Chae-won's grin fades. 2 weeks. That's not 6 months. That's not even close. Tae-ho reads the page over his shoulder. His face goes pale. He says the broker moved faster this loop. Much faster. Chae-won folds the page carefully, tucks it into his glove. The silver threads pulse against the paper. He says they need to move faster too. No more waiting. No more planning. Tomorrow, they start hunting harvesters. Tae-ho nods. They stand, brush themselves off, and walk back toward the dorms. Behind them, the bell tower looms against the night sky. Silent. Waiting. 2 weeks. The clock is ticking, and the broker already has a head start. The grass is still wet with dew. Chae-won's chest finally stops heaving. He stares up at the stars. Tae-ho sits beside him, brushing dirt off his cloak. They made it. The academy wards hum softly around them. A faint shimmer in the air, invisible to anyone who doesn't know what to look for. But Jae-won can feel it. That low vibration in his bones. The wards are active. Nothing gets through without permission. Behind them, Do-yeon is already gone. Vanished into the night. No trace left except the shattered street lamp. Glass glittering on the cobblestones like scattered diamonds. Tae-ho exhales slowly. He says they need to move. Now. Chae-won nods. Push themselves up. Their legs are still shaking. Adrenaline fading. The cold starts to creep in. They walk toward the dorms. The campus is dead silent. No lights in any of the windows. Just the moon and the distant glow of the bell tower. Chae-won's hand drifts to his glove. The diary page is still there, pressed flat against his palm. The silver threads pulse softly. He doesn't unfold it again. Not yet. They reach the dormitory building. Tae-ho stops at the entrance. He says they can't stay here tonight. Chae-won asks why not. Tae-ho points at the third-floor window. Chae-won's room. The light is on. Chae-won's stomach drops. He didn't leave the light on. Someone's inside. Tae-ho grabs his arm, pulls him back into the shadows. They crouch behind a hedge. Watch the window. A silhouette moves behind the curtain. Too tall to be a student. Too deliberate. The figure stops. Turns toward the window. Stares out into the darkness. Right at them. Chae-won holds his breath. The figure doesn't move. Just stands there. Watching. Then the light goes out. Tae-ho whispers that they're not harvesters. Chae-won asks how he knows. Tae-ho says harvesters wouldn't turn on the light. They'd wait in the dark. This is someone else. Someone who wants Jae-won to know they were there. Chae-won's jaw tightens. He asks if it's the academy enforcers. Tae-ho shakes his head. Says the enforcers would have announced themselves. This is something worse. They slip away from the hedge. Move toward the hidden courtyard. Rusted door is still half buried in ivy. Tae-ho pushes it open. They descend into the nest. The maps are still on the walls. Red strings crisscrossing everywhere. Tae-ho lights a small lantern. The flame flickers, casts long shadows across the corkboard. Chae-won unfolds the diary page, spreads it flat on the table. The handwriting is jagged, barely legible. But the words are clear enough. It's a place. The bell tower. 2 weeks from now. Tae-ho reads it over his shoulder. His face goes pale. Much faster. Chae-won asks what happens if the bell tower triggers early. Tae-ho doesn't answer right away. Points at a photo. The bell tower, taken from the south courtyard. He says in Loop 2 the broker used the bell tower. But not as a trigger. As a beacon. Pulled a gate open from the inside. The gate didn't appear in the sky. It appeared inside the tower. And by the time anyone noticed, half the academy was already dead. Chae-won stares at the photo. His mind races. He asks how they stopped it. Tae-ho says they didn't. Loop 2 ended with the entire east wing destroyed. 300 students dead. The broker escaped before anyone even knew he was responsible. Chae-won's fists clench. He says they have 2 weeks. 2 weeks to find the trigger. 2 weeks to stop the bell tower. 2 weeks before everything burns. Tae-ho nods. He says they need to move faster than the broker. No more waiting. No more planning. Tomorrow they start hunting. Chae-won folds the diary page carefully, tucks it back into his glove. He asks where they start. Tae-ho pulls a file from the shelf, opens it on the table. Inside are profiles, names, photos, 10 candidates. Park Ha-nul is at the top. Tae-ho taps the photo, says this one is the most likely trigger. Chae-won asks why. Taeho says Park Han-nul was involved in 3 of the 5 loops, never as the trigger, but always nearby. Always in the wrong place at the wrong time. And in loop 4, he vanished 2 days before the gate break. Nobody ever found his body. Jae-won studies the photo. A skinny kid with glasses. First year. No combat ranking. No notable skills. Just a face in the crowd. The perfect target. Jae-won says they find him tomorrow. Taeho agrees. Then he pulls out a second file, thicker than the first. He says there's another problem. Jae-won asks what? Taeho opens the file. Inside are surveillance photos. All of the same person. A woman. Tall. Dark hair. Cold eyes. Bae Soo-ah. Taeho says she's been following Jae-won for 3 days. Jae-won freezes. He asks who she is. Taeho says she's one of the broker's agents. Not a harvester. Something worse. A recruiter. Jae-won asks what that means. Taeho says the broker doesn't just use threats. He uses promises. He offers regressers a deal. Join him. Work for him. And he'll make sure they survive the gate break. Bae Soo-ah is the one who delivers that offer. Jae-won asks how many regressers have taken it. Taeho doesn't answer. He just stares at the photo. His jaw tightens. Jae-won gets the message. Too many. They sleep in the nest that night. Jae-won on a cot in the corner. Taeho at the desk. Neither of them rests well. The lantern burns low. Shadows dance on the walls. Jae-won dreams of the bell tower. Of fire. Of screaming. He wakes before dawn. Taeho is already up. Brewing tea over a small manna stove. He hands Jae-won a cup. Says they have an hour before Master Bae's drill. Jae-won drinks. The tea is bitter, but it clears his head. He checks his phone. 3 new messages, all from the unknown number. The first one says the offer still stands. The second one says the broker is patient. The third one is just a photo. Jae-won opens it. His blood runs cold. It's a picture of his dorm room, taken from inside. The notebook is on the bed. Open to the page with the gate dates. Someone was in his room last night, and they want him to know it. Taeho looks over his shoulder. His expression darkens. He says they need to move the notebook. Now. Jae-won nods. They leave the nest, cross the campus in the gray pre-dawn light. The dormitory is quiet. No sign of the intruder from last night. They climb the stairs, reach Jae-won's room. The door is unlocked. Jae-won pushes it open. The room is trashed. Drawers pulled out. Mattress flipped. Clothes scattered everywhere. But the notebook is still there, sitting on the bed, exactly where the photo showed it. Jae-won picks it up, flips through the pages. Nothing is missing. Nothing is damaged. But tucked inside the back cover is a note. Handwritten, elegant script. It says the broker is impressed. Says Jae-won has potential. Says they'll meet soon. And at the bottom, a signature. Bae Soo-ah. Jae-won's hands tremble. Not from fear, from anger. She was in his room. She read his notes. She left her name like a calling card. Taeho takes the note. Reads it twice. He says this changes things. Jae-won asks how. Taeho says the broker doesn't leave notes. Not unless he's already decided to recruit someone. Bae Soo-ah isn't just watching Jae-won. She's evaluating him. Jae-won asks what happens if he refuses. Taeho folds the note, tucks it into his pocket. Says nobody refuses the broker twice. Jae-won asks what happened to the ones who refused once. Taeho looks at him. His eyes are cold. He says they don't exist anymore. Not in this loop. Not in any loop. The broker erases them completely. Jae-won shoves the notebook into his bag. He says they need to find Park Han-nul before Bae Soo-ah makes her move. Taeho agrees. They leave the dorm. Head toward the combat arena. Master Bae's drill starts in 20 minutes. Some are already in training gear. Jae-won spots a familiar figure near the fountain. Ko Min-jun, the senior from the library. He's talking to someone. A woman. Tall, dark hair, cold eyes. Bae Soo-ah. Jae-won grabs Taeho's arm, points. Taeho follows his gaze. His expression hardens. He says they need to keep walking. Don't draw attention. Jae-won forces himself to look away. They pass the fountain. Bae Soo-ah doesn't turn, doesn't acknowledge them. But Jae-won feels her eyes on his back, like a weight, pressing down. They reach the arena. Students are already gathering. Master Bae stands in the center, his arms crossed. his expression unreadable. Jae-won takes his place in the formation. His heart is still pounding, but he forces himself to breathe, to focus. Master Bae calls the drill. Same as yesterday. 3 strikes per student. Dodge or block all 3. Get hit once. Run laps. The first students step forward. One by one. Most dodge the first strike. Some block the second. Almost nobody dodges the third. Laps are run. Grumbling fills the arena. Then it's Jae-won's turn. He steps forward. Master Bae's eyes narrow. He says he heard about yesterday. Says Jae-won got lucky. Says luck doesn't last. Jae-won doesn't answer, just settles into his stance. The gloves pulse against his skin. Mana flows clean and fast. Master Bae lunges. Right strike. Jae-won leans. The strike misses by a hair. Low sweep. Jae-won hops backward. The wooden blade whistles past his ankles. Straight thrust. Jae-won twists sideways. The blade stops an inch from his ribs. Master Bae lowers his weapon. His expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. Respect, maybe, or suspicion. He says Jae-won is hiding something. Says he'll find out what it is. Jae-won bows, steps back into the formation. His heart is still racing, but he passed, again, after the drill. Tae-ho pulls him aside, says they need to find Park Ha-nul now. Before Bae Su-ah makes contact, Jae-won asks where he is. Tae-ho checks his phone. Says Park Ha-nul has a class in the East Wing. Advanced Mana Theory. Starts in 10 minutes. They cross the campus quickly. The East Wing is older than the rest of the academy. Stone walls, narrow windows, creaking floorboards. They reach the classroom. Peer through the window. Park Ha-nul is there, sitting in the back row, head down, taking notes. Jae-won watches him for a moment. The kid looks harmless, quiet, forgettable. Exactly the kind of person nobody would suspect. Tae-ho says they wait until class ends. Jae-won nods. They lean against the wall. The minutes drag. Then the door opens. Students file out. Park Ha-nul is one of the last. He walks with his head down, clutching a notebook to his chest. Jae-won steps into his path, says they need to talk. Park Ha-nul looks up. His eyes are wide, scared. He asks who they are. Jae-won says they're the only people who can keep him alive. Park Ha-nul's face goes pale. He asks what that means. Tae-ho steps closer, says someone is going to use him to open a gate. Says he's a trigger. Says if they don't stop it, he dies. And so does everyone else. Park Ha-nul stares at them. His hands shake. He says he doesn't know anything about a gate. He's just a student. Just a first year. Jae-won believes him. But it doesn't matter. The broker doesn't need him to know. The broker just needs him to be in the right place, at the right time. Jae-won says they can protect him, but he has to trust them. Park Ha-nul hesitates, then he nods. Slowly, he says he'll do whatever they ask. Jae-won exhales. 1 down. 9 candidates left. And 2 weeks to stop the end of the world. Behind them, at the end of the hallway, a figure watches. Tall, dark hair, cold eyes. Bae Su-ah smiles and disappears into the shadows. Tae-ho pulls Jae-won toward the East Wing exit. Park Ha-nul follows close behind. His notebook is still clutched to his chest. The kid looks like he's about to throw up. Jae-won tells him to breathe. Park Ha-nul asks where they're taking him. Tae-ho says somewhere safe. Somewhere the broker can't reach him. They cut through a service hallway. The floorboards creak under their feet. Dust hangs in the air. This part of the academy hasn't been used in years. Tae-ho leads them to a storage room at the end of the hall. He pushes open the door. Inside, old desks are stacked against the walls. A single bulb flickers overhead. Tae-ho locks the door behind them. He pulls a chair from the pile and tells Park Ha-nul to sit. The kid obeys. His hands are still shaking. Jae-won crouches in front of him. He asks if Park Ha-nul knows why he's important. Park Ha-nul shakes his head. He says he's just a first year, just a nobody. Tae-ho laughs. It's not a warm laugh. He says nobodies don't get recruited by the broker. Park Ha-nul's face goes even paler. He asks who the broker is. Jae-won exchanges a look with Tae-ho. Then he tells Park Ha-nul everything. The loops. The gate break. The broker's experiments. The bell tower. Park Ha-nul listens without interrupting. When Jae-won finishes, the kid is silent for a long moment. Then he asks if they're sure it's him. Tae-ho pulls out the file. He shows Park Ha-nul his own photo. his name at the top of the list. 3 loops where he was involved. 1 loop where he vanished. Park Han-nul stares at the file. His fingers trace his own face. He asks why the broker would pick him. Jae-won says that's what they need to figure out. He asks if Park Han-nul has any special abilities. Anything unusual. Park Han-nul hesitates. Then he says there's one thing. He's always been sensitive to mana fluctuations. He can feel gates before they open. Jae-won's blood runs cold. He asks how long he's had this ability. Park Han-nul says since he was a kid. His grandmother called it a curse. Tae-ho paces across the room. He says that's why the broker picked him. A natural mana sensor. Someone who can feel the gate forming. Someone whose panic would amplify the signal. Jae-won asks if Park Han-nul has felt anything recently. Anything strange near the bell tower. Park Han-nul goes quiet. Then he nods. He says there's been a pressure building, like a storm that won't break. He thought it was just stress, just exams. Jae-won says it's not stress. It's the gate. The broker is using the bell tower as a beacon. And Park Han-nul is the trigger. The kid looks like he's about to cry. He asks what happens to him. Tae-ho doesn't sugarcoat it. He says in every loop where Park Han-nul was involved, the gate opened. And Park Han-nul died. The room goes dead silent. The bulb flickers again. Park Han-nul's voice is barely a whisper. He asks if there's a way to stop it. Jae-won says yes. But it means Park Han-nul has to trust them completely. No hesitation, no second guessing. Park Han-nul looks at Jae-won, then at Tae-ho, then back at the file in his hands. He asks what he has to do. Jae-won tells him the plan. They need to map the mana pressure around the bell tower, track where it's strongest. Find the exact point the broker plans to use. Park Han-nul is the only one who can feel it. The kid nods slowly. He says he can do that. Tae-ho warns him it's dangerous. Bae Soo-ah is watching. The broker's agents are everywhere. If they catch Park Han-nul near the bell tower, it's over. Park Han-nul says he understands, but he'd rather die trying than wait to be used. Jae-won feels a surge of respect for the kid. He's scared out of his mind, but he's still standing, still willing to fight. Jae-won tells him they'll protect him, no matter what. Tae-ho pulls out a small device from his bag. It's a mana tracker. Looks like a compass with a cracked face. He says he picked it up in loop 3. It measures fluctuations within a 100-meter radius. Park Han-nul takes it. The needle immediately twitches. Points toward the northwest, toward the bell tower. Tae-ho says they need to move. The longer they stay in one place, the easier they are to find. Jae-won unlocks the door, checks the hallway, clear. They slip out of the storage room, head toward the bell tower through the back paths. The campus is quiet now. Most students are in class. The only sound is the wind through the old oaks. Park Han-nul walks between them. His eyes are fixed on the tracker. The needle is pulsing now, growing stronger with every step. Jae-won asks what he's feeling. Park Han-nul says it's like standing next to a furnace. The pressure is building in his chest. His ears are ringing. Tae-ho says that's the gate trying to form. The broker has already started the process. They reach the courtyard behind the bell tower. It's empty. The tower looms above them, old stone, covered in ivy, a rusted bell visible through the arch at the top. Park Han-nul stops walking. His face is pale. Sweat beads on his forehead. He says the pressure is unbearable here, like the air is about to split open. Jae-won asks if he can pinpoint the exact spot. Park Han-nul closes his eyes, takes a deep breath. Then he points. Not at the tower, at the ground beneath it. He says there's something buried there, something that's been feeding on the tower's mana for weeks. Tae-ho curses under his breath. He says the broker didn't just pick the tower, he planted something. A catalyst. Jae-won asks if they can dig it up, says it's too deep, and digging would trigger the gate early. They need another way. Park Han-nul opens his eyes. He says he can feel something else, something moving. Jae-won asks what he means. Park Han-nul says there's someone else here, someone whose mana feels wrong, like it's been twisted. Jae-won turns, and there she is, Bae Soo-ah, standing at the edge of the courtyard. Her dark hair is pulled back. Her cold eyes are fixed on them. She smiles. It doesn't reach her eyes. She says she was wondering when they'd figure it out. Tae-ho steps in front of Park Han-nul. His hand moves to his belt, where a blade is hidden. Bae Soo-ah laughs. She says violence won't help them. The broker already knows everything. Jae-won asks what she wants. Bae Soo-ah tilts her head. She says the broker is impressed. Jae-won survived the auction, dodged the harvesters, found the trigger before the gate opened. She says the broker doesn't impress easily. Jae-won says he's not interested in impressing anyone. Bae Soo-ah's smile widens. She says he should reconsider. The broker is offering him a place, a chance to survive the gate break, to profit from it. Jae-won says he's already seen what the broker's profit looks like. 300 dead students. An entire wing of the academy destroyed. Bae Soo-ah shrugs. She says sacrifices are necessary. The gate will open no matter what they do. The only choice is who survives. Taeho says they'll find another way. Bae Soo-ah looks at him. Her expression hardens. She says Taeho has tried 5 times. 5 failures. 5 loops where everyone died. She asks how many more times he wants to watch his friends burn. Taeho's jaw tightens, but he doesn't answer. Bae Soo-ah turns back to Jae-won. She says the offer is simple. Join the broker. Give him the gate dates. And Jae-won gets a seat at the table. Power. Wealth. Survival. Bae Soo-ah's smile vanishes. She says he already knows the answer. Nobody refuses the broker twice. Jae-won looks at Park Han-nul. The kid is trembling. But he's still holding the tracker, still standing. Jae-won looks at Taeho. 5 loops of failure. 5 loops of watching everyone die. And he's still fighting. Jae-won turns back to Bae Soo-ah. He says he has a counteroffer. Bae Soo-ah raises an eyebrow. Jae-won says he'll give the broker one chance. One chance to walk away. To abandon the gate. To leave the academy alone. Bae Soo-ah stares at him. Then she laughs. A cold, sharp sound. She says the broker doesn't walk away. He doesn't negotiate. He doesn't lose. Jae-won says everyone loses eventually. Even regressors. Even the broker. Bae Soo-ah's laughter stops. Her eyes go flat. She says Jae-won just made a mistake. A big one. She raises her hand. Mana crackles around her fingers, dark and twisted. Jae-won feels the pressure spike. Park Han-nul gasps. The tracker's needle spins wildly. Taeho draws his blade. But before anyone can move, the ground shakes. A low rumble. Deep beneath the bell tower. Bae Soo-ah's eyes widen. She looks at the tower, then at Park Han-nul. She says that's impossible. The gate isn't supposed to open for 2 weeks. Park Han-nul's face is white. He says he's not doing it. The pressure is reacting to Bae Soo-ah's mana. Her twisted energy is feeding the catalyst. Jae-won shouts at her to stop, but it's too late. The ground splits. A crack runs from the base of the tower to the center of the courtyard. Black smoke pours out, and in the smoke, something moves. Something with too many legs and too many eyes. Jae-won grabs Park Han-nul, yanks him backward. Taeho slashes at the first creature that crawls out. A nightmare of chitin and teeth. His blade bites deep, but the thing keeps coming. Bae Soo-ah stands frozen, staring at the crack, at the smoke, at the thing she just unleashed. Jae-won shouts her name, tells her to help them. She looks at him. For a moment, something flickers in her eyes. Fear, or maybe regret. Then she turns and runs, disappears into the shadows of the courtyard. Jae-won curses. He tells Taeho they need to close the crack. Now, before it widens. Taeho asks how. Jae-won looks at the tower, at the bell, at the catalyst buried beneath it. He says they need to destroy the beacon, cut off the gate's anchor. Park Han-nul says he can feel the catalyst. It's directly under the tower's foundation. Jae-won asks if he can disrupt it. His hands press against the ground. He says he can try. Mana flows out of him, thin and wavering, but it reaches the catalyst. The ground shudders. The crack stops widening, but it doesn't close. Taeho says it's not enough. They need more power. Jae-won pulls out his remaining mana stones. 4 low-grade. Not nearly enough. He looks at Taeho. Taeho nods. He reaches into his pouch, pulls out 8 mid-grade stones, his entire stash. He says they only get 1 shot. Jae-won places the stones in a circle around the crack. Park Han-nul channels his mana through them. The stones glow. The air hums. The creature in the crack screeches. It doesn't want to go back. Jae-won tells Park Han-nul to push harder. The kid's nose starts bleeding. His hands shake. The stones flare bright. The crack groans. And then, with a sound like breaking glass, it seals shut. The creature vanishes. The smoke dissipates. The courtyard goes silent. Park Han-nul collapses. Jae-won catches him before he hits the ground. The kid is breathing. Shallow, but alive. Taeho surveys the damage. The crack is gone, but the ground is scorched. The bell tower's foundation is cracked, and Bae-soo-ah is gone. Jae-won asks if the gate is stopped. He says they bought time, maybe a few days. But the catalyst is still buried, and Bae-soo-ah knows everything. At the bell, at the sky above it. He says they need to find the broker before he tries again. Tae-ho says they need more than that. They need allies, they need resources. They need to know who the other 9 candidates are. Jae-won helps Park Han-nul to his feet. The kid is barely conscious, but he's smiling, a weak, exhausted smile. He says he did it. Jae-won says he did, and he's not going to let the broker take him. Not now. Not ever. They carry Park Han-nul back to the hidden courtyard. Tae-ho locks the rusted door behind them. The red strings. The photos. The list of 10 names. Jae-won crosses out Park Han-nul. 1 down, 9 to go. He looks at the next name on the list. Bae-soo-ah. She's not just a recruiter, she's a trigger too. Tae-ho says that changes things. They can't just avoid her, they have to stop her. Jae-won asks how. Tae-ho pulls out a new file, thicker than the others. He says he's been saving this one, for when they were ready. He opens it. Inside are surveillance photos, locations, patterns. Everything Bae-soo-ah has done in the last 3 loops. Jae-won flips through the pages. His eyes widen. He says she's not just working for the broker, she's his daughter. Tae-ho nods. He says that's why she's untouchable, why nobody refuses her twice, why the broker protects her above everyone else. Jae-won closes the file. He says that also makes her the broker's weakness. If they can get to her, they can get to him. Tae-ho asks if Jae-won is suggesting they kidnap the broker's daughter. Still unconscious on the cot, he looks at the maps, at the names, at the bell tower through the ivy-covered window. He says they're not kidnapping anyone. They're offering her a deal, the same deal she offered them. Join us, or get erased. Tae-ho stares at him. Then he laughs. A real laugh this time. Jae-won says maybe, but it's the only move they have left. Outside the hidden courtyard, the campus is stirring. Students are talking about the tremor near the bell tower. Rumors are spreading. The faculty is investigating. And somewhere in the shadows, Bae-soo-ah is watching, waiting, reporting back to her father. The broker knows Jae-won refused his offer. He knows the gate was delayed. He knows his daughter was seen. And he's already planning his next move. Jae-won feels the weight of it. The clock is still ticking. The gate is still coming. And the broker is still out there. But for the first time, Jae-won has something he didn't have before. A team, a plan, and a target. He looks at Tae-ho, at Park Han-nul, at the file on Bae-soo-ah. He says they start tomorrow. Tae-ho asks what the plan is. Jae-won says they're going to flip the broker's own daughter and use her to tear his whole network apart. Tae-ho grins. He says that's the worst plan he's ever heard. And he's in. The bulb flickers overhead. The maps rustle in the draft. And somewhere deep beneath the bell tower, the catalyst pulses. Waiting. Jae-won spends the next 6 hours memorizing every page of that file. Tae-ho's surveillance work is obsessive. Photos of Bae-soo-ah entering the East Wing at 2 a.m. Photos of her meeting a hooded figure near the old greenhouse. Notes on her class schedule, her dorm location, her favorite coffee shop off campus. She likes iced Americanos. She sits with her back to the wall every single time. She never carries a weapon, but she doesn't need one. Her mana signature is A rank, and she's been doing this since she was 14 years old. Jae-won closes the file and rubs his eyes. The bulb overhead flickers again. Tae-ho asks if he's got a plan yet. Jae-won says he's got the bones of one. But they need bait. Something she can't ignore. Tae-ho pulls out a fresh sheet of paper. He asks, what kind of bait makes the broker's daughter walk into a trap? Jae-won looks at the list of 9 remaining candidates. He says they don't bait her. They bait her father. And they use the one thing he wants more than anything. The gate date. Tae-ho stops writing. He says that's insane. Jae-won says it's the only currency the broker actually respects. If they offer a meeting to discuss the date. Face to face. No intermediaries. She has to show up. She's the only one he trusts to verify the information. Tae-ho leans back in his chair. He says they're basically inviting the most dangerous person in the academy to a private chat. Jae-won says not private, public, very public. The dining hall. Tomorrow at noon. Hundreds of students around, faculty everywhere. She can't pull anything without exposing her whole network. Tae-ho starts to grin. He says Jae-won really is insane, and he loves it. They spend the next hour crafting the message. Short. Professional. No threats. Just an invitation. We have the date you want. Dining hall. Noon. Come alone. Jae-won sends it to the unknown number, the one that's been messaging him for days. The one that sent the photo of his notebook. The response comes in under 3 minutes. 3 words. I'll be there. Tae-ho whistles. He says she didn't even hesitate. Jae-won says that's what makes her dangerous. She's not afraid of them at all. The next morning, Jae-won wakes up before dawn. Park Ha-neul is still unconscious on the cot. His breathing is steadier now. Color is coming back to his face. Tae-ho is already awake, checking the wards, repacking the gear. He asks if Jae-won slept at all. Jae-won says maybe an hour. Tae-ho tosses him a protein bar. He says he'll need more than that if he's going to stare down the broker's daughter. Jae-won eats the bar without tasting it. His mind is running through every possible version of this meeting. In 3 loops, Tae-ho says, she never once lost her cool. Not when the East Wing collapsed. Not when the worm broke through the northern gate. Not when half her harvesters got wiped out by the faculty strike team. She just watches, converts, and then she moves. Jae-won says that's exactly why this will work. She's too smart to pass up real information, and too confident to think 2 students can outplay her. Tae-ho says confidence is earned. He asks what happens if she calls their bluff. Jae-won pulls out a folded sheet of paper. On it is a date. December 14th, the day of the festival. The real date. Tae-ho stares at it. He says Jae-won is actually going to give her the truth. Jae-won says half the truth. The date is real. But what she doesn't know is they've already delayed the gate. The bell tower catalyst is disrupted. The trigger she was counting on is gone. By the time she verifies the date, it'll be too late. She'll have committed to a timeline that no longer exists. Tae-ho is quiet for a long moment. Then he says that's the cruelest thing he's ever heard, and he means it as a compliment. At 11:30, they leave the hidden courtyard. Park Ha-neul is stable enough to be left alone. The campus is bright and cold. Students are walking to lunch, laughing, complaining about exams, completely unaware that 3 days ago, a gate almost opened beneath their feet. Jae-won and Tae-ho enter the dining hall at 11:50. They pick a table in the center of the room, visible from every entrance. No blind spots. Tae-ho sits with his back to Jae-won, watching the east door. Jae-won watches the west. At exactly noon, Bae-soo-ah walks through the west entrance. She's alone. No hood. No disguise. Just her academy uniform and her cold, calm eyes. She spots Jae-won immediately. And she smiles. Not a warm smile, the smile of someone who's been expecting this. She sits down across from him, folds her hands on the table. She says she was wondering how long it would take him to reach out. Jae-won doesn't waste time. He says he has the gate date. She asks what he wants for it. Jae-won says he wants her to walk away from the broker. She laughs. Actually laughs. A few students glance over. She says that's not a currency he can afford. Jae-won says he's not asking her to betray her father. He's asking her to save herself. He slides the folded paper across the table. She doesn't touch it. She asks what the catch is. Jae-won says the catch is the broker is going to lose. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. And when he falls, everyone tied to him falls with him, including her. Unless she makes a different choice now. Bae-soo-ah's smile doesn't waver, but something shifts behind her eyes. She asks if he really thinks 2 regressors and a half-dead censor can stop her father. Jae-won says they already did. The bell tower gate is sealed. The catalyst is disrupted. Her trigger is gone. And they did it in 1 afternoon. Bae-soo-ah's smile finally fades. She picks up the paper, unfolds it, reads the date. Her expression doesn't change, but her fingers tighten just slightly. She asks if this is real. Jae-won says it is. She asks how she can verify it. Jae-won says she can't, not yet. But in 2 days when the festival passes and nothing happens, she'll know. And by then, her father will already be scrambling. She folds the paper again, tucks it into her sleeve. She asks what Jae-won actually wants. Not the speech about saving herself, the real offer. Jae-won leans forward. He says he wants her to feed her father false information. Small things at first. A wrong location for a harvester meetup. A fake tip about a candidate. Nothing that gets anyone killed. Just enough to make him doubt his sources. She asks why she would ever agree to that. Jae-won says because if she doesn't, He'll make sure every regressor in the academy knows she's the broker's daughter, and every one of them will come for her, not to kill her, to use her, as leverage, as bait, as a bargaining chip. She'll never be safe again. Bae Soo-ah is silent for a long moment. The noise of the dining hall fills the space between them. Students laughing, trays clattering. Someone drops a cup and a whole table groans. She says he's not like the other regressors. Jae-won says he knows. She says most of them beg, or threaten, or try to buy their way out. He's the first one who ever offered her a real choice. She stands up, adjusts her uniform sleeve. She says she'll think about it. Jae-won says that's all he's asking. She turns to leave, then stops. She says her father isn't the real threat. The broker is just a man. The real threat is what he's trying to contain. And if Jae-won keeps poking holes in the broker's network, that thing is going to get loose. She walks out of the dining hall without looking back. Tae-ho exhales. He says that went better than he expected. Jae-won says it went exactly as he expected. She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. And now she has a date that's about to become worthless. Tae-ho asks what she meant about her father containing something. Jae-won says he doesn't know. But they're going to find out. Leave the dining hall and head straight for the library. Not the basement this time. The restricted archives on the 3rd floor. Tae-ho flashes a forged faculty badge at the librarian. She waves them through without looking up. The archives are dusty and quiet. Rows of old reports, incident files, sealed records from previous gate events. Jae-won starts pulling anything that mentions the broker, or the future harvesters, or Kang Jin-ho. That name appears exactly once. In a file from 12 years ago, a research proposal submitted by a junior faculty member named Kang Jin-ho. The title, Containment Protocols for S-Class Gate Entities. Jae-won opens the file. Inside are diagrams, mana suppression arrays, containment circles, and a single photograph. A massive stone door, covered in runes, buried deep underground. The caption reads, Primary Containment Vault, Site 0. Tae-ho looks at the photo. He says that's not on any academy map. Jae-won says that's because it's not under the academy, it's under the city. Site 0 is beneath the entire district, and Kang Jin-ho built it. Tae-ho asks what's inside. Jae-won flips to the next page. The report lists containment subjects. Most are redacted, but one entry is partially visible. Subject 7, S-Class Entity. Codename, Gatekeeper. Status, Dormant. Containment Method, Mana Drain Array sustained by external catalyst. Network. The catalyst beneath the bell tower. It's not just a trigger, it's part of a network. A network keeping something locked up, and they just disrupted it. Tae-ho says they need to find out how many catalysts there are. Jae-won is already counting. The bell tower, the east wing. The greenhouse where Soo-ah met her contact. 3 locations, 3 catalysts. And if one disruption bought them a few days, 3 disruptions might buy them weeks. Or it might wake up whatever is sleeping under the city. Tae-ho asks which one they hit next. Jae-won looks at the photo of the vault door. He says neither. They need to find out what Subject 7 actually is. And there's only one person who might know. The broker himself. But they can't get to him yet. So they go through his daughter. Jae-won pulls out his phone. He sends a single message to Bae Soo-ah. What is the gatekeeper? The response takes 20 minutes. 3 words again. You don't want to know. Jae-won sends another message. Then tell me how to keep it asleep. This time, the response is immediate. Stop breaking the catalysts. Jae-won stares at the screen. Tae-ho reads over his shoulder. He says that's a problem, because the gate can't open if the catalysts are intact. But if the catalysts are what keep the gatekeeper dormant, then stopping the gate means waking up something worse. Jae-won says it's a failsafe. The broker didn't build the catalysts to open gates. He built them to keep the gatekeeper contained. The gates are a side effect, a pressure release. Every time a gate opens, it bleeds off enough mana to keep Subject 7 asleep. That's why the broker experiments with different triggers. He's not trying to cause a catastrophe. He's trying to prevent one. Tae-ho asks if that means they've been fighting the wrong enemy. Jae-won says no. The broker is still manipulating people, still sacrificing students, still erasing anyone who refuses him. But his endgame isn't profit, it's containment. And they just made his job a whole lot harder. Tae-ho asks what they do now. Jae-won says they find Park Ha-nul, not the one sleeping in their hideout, the real one. The one who vanished in Loop 4 before the gate break. Because if Park Ha-nul is a natural mana sensor, and the broker hired him to trigger a gate at the festival. And Park Han-nul knows where the other catalysts are. And maybe, just maybe, he knows how to shut them down without waking up the thing underneath. Tae-ho says he thought Park Han-nul was already on their side. Chae-won says the one in the cot is, but the one who took the broker's money is still out there, and he's scheduled to trigger a gate in 2 days. They leave the archives with the Kang Jin-ho file tucked inside Jae-won's jacket. Outside, the sun is starting to set. The campus is quiet. Too quiet. Chae-won notices it first. No students walking. No faculty. No noise from the dorms. Tae-ho feels it too. A pressure in the air, like the moment before a storm. They round the corner toward the hidden courtyard and stop dead. The rusted door is open. The ivy is torn away. And standing in the entrance, holding Park Han-nul by the collar, is Hwang Do-yoon. He's smiling, and he's very disappointed in Jae-won's counteroffer. Behind Do-yoon, 3 more figures step out of the shadows, all wearing harvester pins, all C rank or higher. Do-yoon drops Park Han-nul to the ground. The kid groans but doesn't wake up. Do-yoon says the broker has a new deal. Chae-won hands over the gate date, the file he just stole, and every scrap of information he has on the catalysts. Or Park Han-nul dies. Right here. Right now. Chae-won looks at Tae-ho. Tae-ho's hand is already on his weapon. But they're outnumbered 4-2. And one of them is unconscious. Chae-won says he'll give Do-yoon the date. Do-yoon says that's a start. Chae-won reaches into his jacket, pulls out the folded paper, the same one he gave Bae Soo-ah. He holds it up. Do-yoon steps forward to take it, and Jae-won drops it. The paper flutters to the ground between them. Do-yoon looks down, and in that half-second of distraction, Tae-ho moves. Not toward Do-yoon, toward the rusted door. He slams it shut and rams a mana stone into the locking ward. The door seals with a crack of blue light. Do-yoon snarls. He says that won't hold for long. Chae-won says it doesn't have to. He just needed to even the odds. 3 harvesters outside, 2 inside, and 1 very angry Tae-ho. Tae-ho cracks his knuckles. He says he's been wanting to hit something all week. Do-yoon draws his blade. The other 2 harvesters fan out. Chae-won pulls on his gloves. The silver threads pulse. Mana flows through him. Clean and fast. He says they do this quick. Tae-ho says no promises. And then the first harvester lunges. The harvester lunges. And Tae-ho is already there. His fist catches the guy square in the chest before his feet even leave the ground. The harvester folds like a cheap chair. Chae-won doesn't wait to see him land. He's already moving toward the second one. His gloves pulse silver as mana floods through his arm. The second harvester swings a blade at his head. Chae-won ducks under it. The steel whistles past his ear. He drives his palm into the guy's ribs, a crack of blue light. The harvester skids backward across the dirt. Do-yoon watches from the far side of the courtyard. He hasn't moved yet. He's just standing there with his arms crossed, smiling, like he's enjoying the show. The third harvester circles around behind Tae-ho. Tae-ho spins. The guy throws a punch. Tae-ho catches his wrist midair, twists it. The harvester screams. Tae-ho says he should have stayed outside. Then he hurls the guy into the ivy-covered wall. The vines tear loose. The harvester slumps to the ground and doesn't get up. 3 harvesters down in under 30 seconds. Chae-won turns to face Do-yoon. His gloves are still humming. His breathing is steady. Do-yoon claps, slowly. He says he's impressed. He says the broker told him Jae-won was just an information dealer, a merchant with no real combat experience. But that wasn't a merchant's footwork. Chae-won doesn't answer. He knows Do-yoon is fishing, trying to get him to slip, to reveal something about the loops. Do-yoon draws his blade. It's a curved sword. The edge glows faint red. A mana-forged weapon, not something a student should have. He says it doesn't matter anyway. The broker's offer still stands. Chae-won has one last chance to hand over the file and the gate date, or Do-yoon takes them off his corpse. Tae-ho steps up beside Chae-won. He says Do-yoon talks too much. Do-yoon's smile finally drops. He lunges. The red blade comes down in an arc. Chae-won sidesteps. Sword bites into the dirt where he was standing. A line of scorched earth. Tae-ho comes in from the left. He swings a kick at Do-yoon's ribs. Do-yoon twists away, faster than he should be. His blade whips around in a backhand slash. Tae-ho barely leans back in time. The tip grazes his jacket. The fabric sizzles. Jae-won circles to Do-yoon's blind spot. His gloves flare. He throws a straight punch at Do-yeon's spine. Do-yeon spins and blocks with the flat of his blade. The impact sends a shockwave through the courtyard. Chae-won's arm goes numb. Do-yeon grins. He says that's more like it. He says the broker was right about one thing. Chae-won is hiding something, and Do-yeon is going to enjoy cutting it out of him. He presses the attack. 3 quick slashes. Left shoulder, right hip, throat. Chae-won dodges the first 2. The third one is too fast. He throws himself backward. The blade nicks his chin. A thin line of blood. Taeho grabs a loose chunk of stone from the wall, hurls it at Do-yeon's head. Do-yeon bats it aside without looking. He says Taeho is predictable. He's seen him fight in 3 different loops. Knows every move, every trick, every desperate gamble. Taeho's face goes hard. He says Do-yeon hasn't seen this one. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out a small glass vial, filled with something that glows pale green. Chae-won's eyes widen. He knows what that is. A mana compression grenade. Banned on Academy grounds. Explodes on contact with active mana. Do-yeon sees it too. His blade wavers. Just for a second. And that's all Jae-won needs. He drops low. Sweeps Do-yeon's legs out from under him. Do-yeon hits the ground hard. His sword skitters away. The red glow flickers and dies. Taeho steps forward, vial still in hand. He says Do-yeon should tell the broker something for him. He says the next time the broker sends someone to threaten his friend, he won't bother with a warning. He'll just start breaking things. Do-yeon stares up at them. His smile is gone. His eyes are cold. He says they have no idea what they're doing. He says the broker isn't the enemy. He's the only thing standing between this city and annihilation. Jae-won says he's heard that line before. Do-yeon laughs. A short, bitter sound. He says Jae-won hasn't heard anything yet. He says the gatekeeper isn't just an S-class entity. It's a door. And what's on the other side makes the gate break look like a fire drill. Chae-won freezes. A door. Not a monster. A doorway. Taeho asks what's on the other side. Do-yeon sits up slowly. He doesn't reach for his sword. He says the broker doesn't even know. He's been trying to keep it shut for 15 years. Every loop, every experiment, every catalyst, all of it was containment. And Jae-won just broke one of the locks. Do-yeon says congratulations. He says they've bought themselves maybe a week before the pressure builds enough to crack another catalyst. And when the network fails completely, the gatekeeper opens, and whatever is behind it comes through. Taeho's grip on the vial tightens. He asks if Do-yeon expects them to believe that. Do-yeon says he doesn't care what they believe. He says the broker sent him here to retrieve the file and the gate date. Not to kill them. Not to threaten them. To retrieve information that could help stabilize the network. Jae-won says the broker has a funny way of asking. Do-yeon gestures at the unconscious harvesters. He says the broker knows Chae-won wouldn't listen to reason. He needed leverage. Arkanul was supposed to be that leverage. But Jae-won sealed the door. And now, Do-yeon is out of options. He says they can kill him if they want. It won't change anything. The broker will just find someone else. Someone worse. Chae-won looks down at Do-yeon. His chin is still bleeding. His arm is still numb. But his mind is racing. A door. Not a monster. A doorway to something the broker has been fighting for 15 years. And Jae-won just made it weaker. He asks Do-yeon where the other catalysts are. Do-yeon says he doesn't know. The broker keeps that information compartmentalized. Only his inner circle has the full map. Chae-won asks who's in the inner circle. Do-yeon says Bae Soo-ah, Kang Jin-ho, and 3 others whose names he's never heard. That's it. Chae-won files that away. Kang Jin-ho, the name from the restricted archives. The one who designed the containment protocols. He's not just a researcher, he's inner circle. Taeho asks what happens if they stop breaking catalysts. Do-yeon says the network stabilizes. The gatekeeper stays dormant. The gates keep opening on schedule. Small ones. Manageable ones. Pressure release valves. Chae-won says the gates kill people. Do-yeon says fewer than what comes through if the gatekeeper wakes up. He says the broker isn't a hero. He's a mathematician. He calculates acceptable losses. Chae-won feels something cold settle in his stomach. Acceptable losses. Students, civilians, hunters, all just numbers in the broker's equation. He says that's not good enough. Do-yeon says it doesn't have to be. He says Jae-won can do better. He can find a way to stop the gatekeeper permanently. To close the door instead of just keeping it shut. But he can't do it alone. And he can't do it by breaking things. Chae-won stares at him. He says Do-yoon is offering to help. Do-yoon says he's offering to not get in the way. He says the broker will keep trying to stop Jae-won. That's his job. But Do-yoon has seen 5 loops of this. 5 loops of the same plan. The same containment. The same acceptable losses. And every loop it gets worse. He says maybe it's time for a different approach. Tae-ho says that's very noble coming from the guy who just tried to stab them. Do-yoon shrugs. He says he had to make it look convincing. The broker is watching. He's always watching. He asks what Do-yoon means. Do-yoon points at his own collar, a small pin, shaped like a wheat stalk, a harvester pin. He says it's also a surveillance device. Everything they've said. Everything they've done. The broker has been listening the whole time. Chae-won's hand moves before he can think. He rips the pin off Do-yoon's collar, throws it to the ground, stomps on it. The metal crunches under his heel. Do-yoon says that won't help. The broker already heard enough. He knows Chae-won has the file. He knows they broke the bell tower catalyst. And he knows Do-yoon just offered to switch sides. Do-yoon stands up slowly. He brushes dirt off his jacket. He says he's a dead man either way now, so he might as well be useful. He says the broker has a secondary base. Not the orphanage. Not the academy. A bunker under the old train station at the edge of the city. That's where he keeps his real research. The stuff he doesn't want anyone to see. Chae-won asks what kind of research. But he knows Kang Jin-ho visits it every week. And he knows the security is triple what it is anywhere else. He says if Chae-won wants to find out what the gatekeeper really is, what's really on the other side of that door, that's where he should look. Tae-ho asks why Do-yoon is telling them this. Do-yoon looks at him. His eyes are tired. He says he's been a harvester for 3 loops. He's done things he can't take back, killed people he can't even remember the faces of anymore. All because the broker told him it was necessary. He says maybe it was. Maybe the math checks out. But he's tired of being a number in someone else's equation. He says if Jae-won can find another way, a way that doesn't involve sacrificing half the academy, then Do-yoon wants to help. Tae-ho's expression is unreadable. He says this could be a trap. Chae-won says it probably is. But they don't have a lot of options. The broker knows everything. Their hideout, their plans, their allies. They need new information, new leverage. And Do-yoon just handed them a location. Chae-won turns back to Do-yoon. He says if Do-yoon is lying, if this is a setup, Chae-won will make sure Do-yoon doesn't live to see Loop 6. Do-yoon says he wouldn't expect anything less. He reaches down and picks up his sword. Tae-ho tenses. But Do-yoon just sheathes it. He says he'll buy them time. Tell the broker that Jae-won escaped, that the file was destroyed in the fight. It won't hold for long, but it might give them a day or two. Chae-won asks what Do-yoon will do. Do-yoon says he'll go back to the broker. Play the loyal soldier. Feed them information when he can. He says it's the least he can do. After everything. Chae-won nods. He doesn't trust Do-yoon. Not completely. But he trusts the exhaustion in his eyes. The weight of 3 loops of guilt. He knows what that looks like. He's seen it in the mirror. Tae-ho crouches down next to Park Han-ul. The kid is still unconscious, breathing steady. Tae-ho says they need to move him. The broker knows about this place now. It's not safe anymore. Chae-won agrees. He says they'll take him to the greenhouse. It's abandoned, and the catalyst there might mask his mana signature, at least for a while. Tae-ho lifts Park Han-ul onto his shoulder. Do-yoon walks to the sealed door. He places his palm against the stone. The blue light flickers. He says the seal is weakening. The other harvesters will break through in a few minutes. Chae-won says they'll be gone by then. Do-yoon nods. He says good luck. Chae-won says he doesn't believe in luck. Do-yoon almost smiles. He says neither does the broker. And then he pushes the door open. The seal shatters. Blue light scatters across the courtyard like shattered glass. Do-yoon steps through. His voice carries back. He says the train station. Tomorrow night. Come alone or don't come at all. And then he's gone. Chae-won and Tae-ho don't wait. They slip out through the back of the courtyard, through a gap in the wall that Tae-ho carved 3 loops ago, into the narrow service alley behind the east wing. The sun is fully down now. The campus is dark. The quiet is heavier than before. Like the whole academy is holding its breath. They move fast. Tae-ho carries Park Han-ul. Chae-won keeps watch. His gloves pulse faintly with every step, ready for another fight. But no one stops them. They reach the greenhouse in 10 minutes. It's a massive glass structure at the edge of the botanical gardens, abandoned for years. Vines have swallowed half the frame. The door is rusted shut. Taeho kicks it open. Inside, the air is warm and damp. Plants have grown wild. Ferns taller than a person, moss covering every surface. Jae-won finds a clear patch of floor near the back. Taeho lays Park Han-ul down. The kid's eyelids flutter. He's starting to come around. 3 new messages from the unknown number. The first one, impressive. The second one, Do-yoon was always too soft. The third one, the train station is a trap, but you already knew that. The broker knows. Of course he knows. He's been listening the whole time. Through the pin. Through Do-yoon. Through every move they've made. He says they can't go to the train station. Jae-won says they have to. Even if it's a trap. Even if the broker is waiting for them. Because Do-yoon told them something real. Something he wasn't supposed to. The broker's reaction proves it. The train station matters. There's something there the broker doesn't want them to find. Taeho asks what they do about Park Han-ul. The real one. The one who took the broker's money. Jae-won looks at the kid on the floor. The one who chose their side. He says they wake him up. They tell him everything. And they ask him to help them find his other self. Before the festival. Before the gate opens. Before the broker's acceptable losses become real bodies on the ground. Park Han-ul's eyes open. He blinks up at the shattered glass ceiling, at the ferns, at Jae-won's bloodied chin. He asks what he missed. Jae-won says a lot. And they don't have much time to catch him up. Outside, the first stars are appearing. Somewhere across campus, a bell tower stands silent, its catalyst broken, its purpose undone. And beneath the city, something ancient sleeps behind a stone door, waiting for the locks to fail. Jae-won crouches down next to Park Han-ul. He says they have a problem, a big one. And Park Han-ul is the only person who can help them solve it. Park Han-ul sits up slowly. His face is pale, but his eyes are steady. He says he's listening. Jae-won tells him about the other Park Han-ul, the one scheduled to trigger a gate at the festival in 2 days. Park Han-ul's expression doesn't change. He says he was wondering when that would come up. Jae-won freezes. Park Han-ul says he's been feeling it for weeks. A second presence, identical to his own mana signature, moving around the city. He thought he was going crazy. Then the broker contacted him, offered him money to trigger a gate. And Park Han-ul realized the truth. The broker didn't find one mana sensor. He found 2. Identical twins, separated at birth. One raised in the academy. One raised by the broker. Park Han-ul says he doesn't know his brother's name. He doesn't know what he looks like, but he can feel him. Every time he uses his ability. A faint echo, a mirror image. And right now that echo is getting stronger. He says his brother is close, really close. Taeho's face is grim. He says the broker didn't just hire a trigger, he raised one. Park Han-ul says that's not the worst part. He says his brother doesn't know what he's doing. The broker told him the gate is a test. A way to prove his worth. He thinks he's helping. He thinks he's saving people. Park Han-ul says if they want to stop him, they can't just knock him out. They have to convince him, show him the truth. Jae-won says that's going to be a problem, because the festival is in 2 days. They still have to figure out what's waiting at the train station. Taeho says they need to split up. Jae-won takes the train station. Taeho finds the brother. Park Han-ul says no. He says he's the only one who can track his brother. The mana signature is too faint for anyone else. Taeho can't do it alone. They need him. Jae-won says Park Han-ul is in no shape to go anywhere. Park Han-ul stands up. His legs are shaky, but his jaw is set. He says he's been running from his ability his whole life, hiding from what he can feel, what he can sense. He says he's done hiding. If his brother is out there, about to make the biggest mistake of his life, then Park Han-ul is going to stop him, even if it kills him. Jae-won looks at him for a long moment. Then he nods. He says they leave at dawn. The festival square is chaos. Monsters pour through the gate like water from a broken dam. Jae-won grabs a first year by the collar and yanks her behind a food stall. She's frozen. Her eyes are wide and empty. He tells her to run for the east wing and not look back. She doesn't move. He slaps the wooden stall next to her head. The sound snaps her out of it. She bolts. Jae-won turns back toward the gate. It's massive, 20 feet tall and growing. The edges crackle with purple lightning that scorches the cobblestones. And the things coming through are not the low-level beasts from combat class. These are nightmare creatures. A wolf made of shadow and bone. Its ribs are visible through translucent flesh. Its eyes burn green. It lunges at a group of students huddled near the fountain. Jae-won moves before he thinks. His gloves pulse silver as mana floods his arms. He tackles the wolf mid-air. They crash into the fountain. Water explodes around them. The wolf's jaws snap inches from his throat. Jae-won drives his knee into its ribcage. Bones crack. The creature howls and dissolves into black smoke. He pulls himself out of the fountain, soaking wet, breathing hard. And the square is only getting worse. 3 more wolves emerge from the gate. Then a creature with too many legs. Then something with wings. Jae-won spots Master Bae near the academy steps. The old instructor is holding the line with 4 senior students. His wooden practice sword is gone. Now he's wielding a real blade. It's glowing white-hot. Every swing cuts a monster in half. But even Master Bae is being pushed back. There are just too many. Jae-won runs toward him. A shadow wolf lunges from his left. He ducks. Rolls. Comes up swinging. His fist connects with something solid. The wolf yelps and skins across the stones. He doesn't stop to finish it. He reaches Master Bae just as the old man cuts down a creature with 6 arms. Master Bae sees him and shouts over the chaos. Says Jae-won should be at the evacuation point. Jae-won says someone has to close the gate. Master Bae's eyes narrow. He asks if Jae-won knows how. Jae-won says he knows where the core is, and he knows what's guarding it. Master Bae doesn't ask how. There's no time. He just nods and tells Jae-won to take whoever he needs. Jae-won scans the square. He spots 2 figures fighting back-to-back near the library entrance. Eun-woo and Seo Jae-won. Eun-woo's earth magic is slamming stone pillars into monsters. Seo Jae-won's wind blades are cutting through shadow wolves like paper. They're holding their own, but barely. Jae-won sprints toward them. A winged creature dives at him from above. He throws himself sideways. The talons miss his head by inches. He keeps running. He reaches Eun-woo just as she crushes a wolf with a stone fist. He tells her they need to close the gate. She asks how. He says there's a core inside. A worm is guarding it. Eun-woo's face goes pale. She knows what a worm is. Everyone knows. It's a B-rank monster, minimum. Eun-woo asks if he's insane. Jae-won says probably, but if they don't close the gate, the academy falls. And the city is next. Seo Jae-won cuts down another wolf and turns to face him. Her expression is calm. She says she's in. Eun-woo stares at her. Then she sighs and says she's in too. Jae-won leads them toward the gate. The closer they get, the stronger the mana pressure becomes. It's like walking through water. Thick, heavy, crushing. Jae-won's gloves are pulsing so fast they're almost solid silver. His head is pounding, but he keeps moving. They reach the edge of the gate. The purple lightning is deafening. Jae-won shouts for them to stay close. He steps through, and the world changes. They're inside the gate now. It's not a dungeon. It's not a cave. It's a broken city. Buildings made of black stone lean at impossible angles. The sky is red. The ground is cracked and bleeding light. And in the center of it all, coiled around a glowing crystal the size of a car, is the worm. It's huge, 30 feet long. Scales like polished obsidian. Eyes like burning coals. It sees them immediately. Its mouth opens. A sound like grinding metal fills the air. Jae-won doesn't wait. He charges left. Eun-woo slams her hands into the ground. A stone wall erupts between them and the worm. The creature smashes through it like paper. Seo Jae-won sends a blade of wind at its eyes. It flinches, barely. The worm lunges. Jae-won throws himself behind a tilted building. The creature's head smashes through the stone where he was standing. Debris rains down. Eun-woo shouts his name. He's okay. He's already moving. He circles around the worm's blind spot. The crystal is right there, glowing, pulsing. If they can destroy it, the gate collapses. But the worm is wrapped around it like a fortress. Seo Jae-won sends another wind blade. This one cuts a shallow gash across the worm's neck. Black blood sprays. The creature roars. It turns on her. Fast. Too fast. Jae-won sees it happen in slow motion. The tail whips around. Seo Jae-won tries to dodge. She's not fast enough. The tail catches her in the ribs. She flies backward and hits a wall. She doesn't get up. Eun-woo screams. She slams both fists into the ground. The earth erupts. Spikes of stone shoot up around the worm. They pierce its scales. The creature howls, but it doesn't stop. It turns toward Eun-woo now. Jae-won knows they're out of time. He looks at the crystal, then at the worm, then at his gloves. The silver threads are burning bright. His mana reserves are almost full. He has one shot. He runs straight at the worm. Eun-woo shouts at him to stop. He doesn't. The worm sees him coming. Its mouth opens. A blast of purple energy shoots toward him. Jae-won jumps. He plants one foot on a tilted building, pushes off, launches himself over the energy blast. He's airborne now, flying toward the worm's head. The creature snaps its jaws at him. Jae-won twists in midair. The teeth miss his chest by a finger's width. He lands on the worm's snout and runs. Straight up its face, between its burning eyes, over its ridged skull. The worm thrashes. Jae-won grabs a spine ridge to keep from falling. He pulls himself forward, one hand over the other, until he's standing on the back of its neck, right above the crystal. He looks down. The core is pulsing, cracked, leaking light. He raises his fist. The gloves flare silver. Every ounce of mana he has left pours into his arm. He drives his fist down. The crystal shatters. The explosion throws him backward. He hits the ground hard. His ears are ringing. His vision is white. And then, slowly, the world comes back. The red sky is cracking. The black buildings are crumbling. The worm is dissolving into smoke. The gate is collapsing. Jae-won pushes himself up. His whole body is screaming. But he's alive. They're all alive. Eun-woo is pulling So-yeon to her feet. So-yeon's face is pale. Her arm is hanging at a wrong angle, but she's standing. She's breathing. The gate collapses inward. Purple lightning flickers once, twice, then nothing. They're back in the square. The festival decorations are shredded. Food stalls are smashed. But the monsters are gone. The gate is closed. Students are emerging from hiding spots. Some are crying. Some are cheering. Master Bae is walking toward them. His sword is still glowing. His face is unreadable. He stops in front of Jae-won. He looks at the empty space where the gate used to be. Then at Jae-won's bloodied knuckles. Then at the two girls behind him. He says he doesn't know how Jae-won knew where the core was. He doesn't know how he survived a worm. But he says the academy owes him a debt. Jae-won shakes his head. He says he didn't do it alone. He looks at Eun-woo and Seo-yeon. They're both leaning on each other, exhausted, bloodied, but alive. Master Bae nods slowly. He says they'll talk later. Right now, there are wounded to tend to. Jae-won watches him walk away. His legs are shaking. The adrenaline is fading. And the weight of what just happened is starting to sink in. The broker's gate opened early. The festival was supposed to be the target. But the gate opened now. Which means something changed. Something accelerated the timeline. The screen is cracked. But it still works. 3 new messages. The first one. You closed it faster than expected. The second one. The catalyst network is destabilizing. The third one. The gatekeeper is waking up. You have less time than you think. The broker isn't gloating. He's warning him, which means whatever is happening beneath the city is worse than Jae-won thought. Much worse. He looks up at the sky. The stars are out now, clear and cold. But somewhere beneath his feet, something ancient is stirring. And the broker, the man who's been containing it for 15 years, is telling Jae-won that the clock just got shorter. Eun-woo calls his name. She's helping Seo-yeon toward the medical tent. She asks if he's coming. Jae-won pockets the phone. He says he'll catch up. She gives him a long look. Then she nods and keeps walking. Jae-won stands alone in the ruined square. The bell tower is silent. The catalyst is broken. But the network is failing anyway. And the one person who knows how to fix it is the same person who's been trying to kill him. He pulls out the file on Kang Jin-ho. The photograph of the stone door. The runes. The caption. Primary containment vault, Site 0. He knows where he has to go next. The old train station. The trap. The broker's bunker. Taeho said they couldn't go. But Taeho isn't here. And the gatekeeper isn't going to wait for them to come up with a better plan. Jae-won folds the file and puts it back in his jacket. His mana is low but recovering. And he's got exactly 1 night before the broker's next move. He starts walking. Not toward the medical tent. Toward the academy gates. Toward the city. Toward the train station. The trap is set. The broker is waiting. And Jae-won is walking straight into it. Because sometimes the only way to win is to spring the trap on purpose. He passes the fountain. The water is still stained black from the shadow wolf. He passes the library. The windows are dark. He passes the east wing and stops. There's a light on in the greenhouse. The abandoned one at the edge of the botanical gardens. The one Taeho said was part of the Catalyst network. Jae-won changes direction. The train station can wait 10 more minutes. He needs to see what's in that greenhouse. He crosses the dark campus. The gravel crunches under his feet. The greenhouse looms ahead. Massive. Glass panels cracked and fogged with age. Vines swallowing the iron frame. But someone has forced it open. Recently. The metal is bent outward. Fresh scratches on the frame. Jae-won steps inside. The air is warm, humid, thick with the smell of wet earth and rotting leaves, moss covering every surface. And in the center of it all, a stone pedestal. On the pedestal, a second catalyst. It's glowing, faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. And standing in front of it, with her back to the door, is Bae Soo-ah. She turns around slowly. Her dark hair is loose. Her cold eyes are tired. She says she was wondering when he'd figure it out. Jae-won asks what she's doing here. She says the same thing he is, trying to stop the gatekeeper from waking up. She says her father's network is failing. The bell tower catalyst was the first to go. The east wing is next. And when the third one breaks, the gatekeeper opens its eyes. Jae-won asks why she cares. She's the broker's daughter. She's supposed to be on his side. Bae Soo-ah laughs. It's a hollow sound. She says she's not on anyone's side. She's just trying to survive, like everyone else. She says her father thinks he can contain the gatekeeper forever. But she's seen the reports. She's seen the calculations. The network was never designed to last this long. It's failing. And when it does, the gatekeeper won't just destroy the academy. It'll destroy everything. Jae-won asks what she wants from him. She says she wants to help. For real this time. No deals, no traps. She says she knows where the third catalyst is. She knows how to stabilize the network, and she knows what her father is planning for the train station. Jae-won stares at her. The broker's daughter, the recruiter, the spy, standing in a ruined greenhouse next to a failing catalyst, offering to betray her own father. He asks why he should trust her. She says he shouldn't. But he doesn't have a choice, because the gatekeeper is waking up, and the only person who knows how to stop it is standing right in front of him. She extends her hand, palm up, waiting. Jae-won looks at her hand, then at the glowing catalyst, then at the cracked glass ceiling above them. The stars are still out, cold and distant, and somewhere beneath the city, something ancient stirs in its sleep. He takes her hand. She nods once, and says they have until dawn. Jae-won stares at Bae Soo-ah's outstretched hand. The greenhouse is warm and wet around them. The catalyst pulses on its stone pedestal. The broker's daughter is offering to betray her own father. He takes her hand. Her palm is cold, but her grip is firm. She nods once, says they have until dawn. Jae-won asks what happens at dawn. Bae Soo-ah lets go of his hand and turns to the catalyst. She says the third catalyst cracks at sunrise. The greenhouse catalyst is the oldest one in the network. It's been failing for months. Her father's been patching it with mana injections. But the bell tower disruption accelerated everything. Jae-won asks if she can stabilize it. She says she can try, but she needs his help. His gloves are still humming with residual mana. She points at them, says the silver threads can channel energy back into the stone. Jae-won looks at his gloves, then at the glowing pedestal, then at Bae Soo-ah. He asks what the catch is. She laughs again, that same hollow sound. She says the catch is that her father will know the moment they touch the catalyst. He's monitoring every node in the network. The second they stabilize this one, he'll send every harvester he has. Jae-won says that sounds like a trap. Bae Soo-ah says it's not a trap. It's a choice. They can let the catalyst fail and watch the gatekeeper wake up. Or they can fix it and fight their way out. She asks which one he wants. Jae-won doesn't hesitate. He steps up to the pedestal. The catalyst is about the size of a fist. Smooth black stone, covered in tiny runes that flicker like dying embers. The glow is weak, uneven, like a heartbeat with an arrhythmia. Bae Soo-ah stands on the other side of the pedestal. She places both hands on the stone. Her mana flares, dark blue, cold. It flows into the catalyst, and the runes brighten for a second, then flicker again. She grimaces, says it's worse than she thought. The internal matrix is cracked. They need to feed it from both sides at once. Jae-won places his gloved hands on the stone. The silver threads ignite. His mana pours into the catalyst. Warm gold light meeting her cold blue. The runes stabilize. The flickering stops. The pulse steadies. And somewhere in the city, an alarm goes off. Bae Soo-ah says her father knows. They have maybe 10 minutes before the first wave arrives. Jae-won asks how many harvesters. She says at least 20. Maybe more. Her father doesn't take chances with the network. Jae-won pulls his hands off the catalyst. The stone is still glowing. Stable. For now. He asks if there are other catalysts they need to fix. Bae Soo-ah says there are 7 total. Bell tower is gone. East wing is next. Greenhouse is stable. That leaves 4 more spread across the city. She pulls out a small leather notebook, opens it to a hand-drawn map. 7 points marked in red ink. 3 are crossed out. 4 remain. Jae-won memorizes the map in 3 seconds. Old habit from his hunter days. He asks where the nearest one is. She points to a mark near the old train station. Says it's the primary node. The one her father built the whole network around. If that one fails, the others won't matter. Jae-won says that's where the broker's bunker is. Bae Soo-ah looks up at him. Surprise flickers across her cold features. She asks how he knows that. Jae-won says he's got his own sources. She stares at him for a long moment. Then she nods. Says the bunker is built around the primary catalyst. Her father's been living next to it for 15 years. Feeding it, maintaining it, sacrificing everything to keep the gatekeeper asleep. Jae-won asks what the gatekeeper actually is. Bae Soo-ah closes her notebook. Her expression goes flat. She says it's a door. Just like Do-young told him. But it's not a door to somewhere. It's a door that something is trying to come through. Something that was sealed away centuries ago. Before the academy was built. Before the city existed. The catalysts don't just keep it dormant, they keep it locked. Jae-won asks what happens if it opens. Bae Soo-ah looks at him with those tired, cold eyes. Says everyone dies. Not just the academy. Not just the city. Everything. Jae-won lets that sink in. The broker isn't a villain. He's a warden. A brutal, calculating, ruthless warden. But a warden nonetheless. And Jae-won just broke one of his locks. Bae Soo-ah says they need to move. The harvesters will be here any minute. Jae-won asks where they're going. She says the medical wing. There's someone there he needs to see. They leave the greenhouse through a broken panel in the back. The night air is cold. The campus is dark. Sirens are starting to wail in the distance. Bae Soo-ah moves fast. She knows the campus better than anyone. Every hidden path, every blind spot. She leads Jae-won through the botanical gardens, past the old fountain, through a service door into the East Wing basement. East Wing catalyst is in a maintenance room. Jae-won can feel it, a low hum in his teeth, a pressure behind his eyes. Bae Soo-ah stops in front of a steel door, says the East Wing catalyst is on the other side. It's still holding, but barely. They don't have time to stabilize it now. They need to get to the medical wing first. Jae-won asks again who they're going to see. Bae Soo-ah says his partner, Gil Tae-ho. Jae-won's jaw tightens. He asks if Tae-ho is okay. Bae Soo-ah says he's stable, but he woke up 20 minutes ago, and he's been asking for Jae-won. They move through the basement corridors, up a flight of stairs, into the main building. The medical wing is on the 3rd floor. Bright white lights. Antiseptic smell. Rows of beds filled with students injured in the festival attack. Tae-ho is in a private room at the end of the hall. 2 academy guards are posted outside. Bae Soo-ah walks right past them. They don't stop her. Jae-won realizes she's still wearing her student badge. Still technically a student here. Still invisible in plain sight. Tae-ho is sitting up in bed when they walk in. His left arm is bandaged. His face is bruised. But his eyes are sharp. He looks at Bae Soo-ah, then at Jae-won. Asks if they're working together now. Jae-won says it's complicated. Tae-ho says it's always complicated. He asks if the gate is closed. Jae-won nods. Says the core is destroyed. The worm is dead. So-yeon has a broken arm but she'll recover. Tae-ho exhales. Long and slow. Says that's good. Then he asks about the broker. Bae Soo-ah steps forward. Says her father knows everything. The bell tower. The greenhouse. The gate. He's mobilizing every harvester in the city. They have until dawn before the 3rd catalyst cracks. And when it does, the gatekeeper wakes up. Tae-ho looks at Jae-won. Asks if he trusts. Jae-won says he doesn't have a choice. Tae-ho nods slowly. Says that's fair. He swings his legs off the bed. His injured arm is still wrapped tight, but he's already reaching for his jacket. Bae Soo-ah tells him to stay. He's in no condition to fight. Tae-ho says he's been in worse condition. 5 loops worth of worse condition. He asks if she knows about the loops. She says she knows everything. Her father keeps files on every regressor, every loop, every failure. Tae-ho's file is thick. Chae-won's is new, but growing fast. Tae-ho pulls his jacket on with one arm. Grimaces, says they need to get to the train station. The primary catalyst is there. If they can stabilize it, they buy more time. If they can't, none of this matters. Chae-won says the broker is waiting for them there. Tae-ho says he knows. That's the point. They can't avoid the trap, so they spring it. On their terms. With all 3 of them. Bae Soo-ah says her father will kill her if she walks into that bunker. Tae-ho asks if she's afraid of dying. She says she's afraid of failing, same as everyone else. Chae-won looks between them, his partner, and the broker's daughter. 2 people who should be enemies, standing in a hospital room, planning to walk into a trap together. He says they need a plan. Tae-ho says he's got one, but it's stupid. Chae-won says stupid plans are the only kind that work against the broker. Tae-ho grins. It's a tired grin, but it's real. He pulls out a small device from his jacket pocket, a mana disruptor. Looks like a metal cube with runes carved into each face. He says he picked it up at the auction, before the raid. It's designed to short out surveillance equipment, including harvester pins. Chae-won asks how that helps. Tae-ho says the broker's entire network runs on surveillance. Every harvester, every catalyst, every monitor in that bunker. If they can get close enough to the primary catalyst, they can set off the disruptor. Align the broker for maybe 60 seconds. Long enough to stabilize the catalyst. Or destroy it. Chae-won asks which one they're doing. Tae-ho looks at Bae Soo-ah. She says stabilizing is the only option. Destroying the primary catalyst would wake the gatekeeper instantly. No delay. No warning. Just immediate catastrophe. Chae-won says stabilizing it is. Tae-ho nods. Says they'll need a distraction. Something big enough to draw the harvesters away from the bunker entrance. Bae Soo-ah says she can handle that. She pulls out her phone, types a message, shows it to them. It's a broadcast to every harvester in the city, claiming the East Wing catalyst is about to fail. Emergency protocol. All units respond. Jae-won asks if they'll believe it. Bae Soo-ah says they will, because it's true. The East Wing catalyst is failing. They just saw it. Sending the harvesters there kills 2 birds with 1 stone. It draws them away from the train station, and it buys time for the East Wing. Chae-won says that's actually a good plan. Tae-ho says he's almost impressed. Bae Soo-ah doesn't smile. She just hits send. Somewhere in the city, 24 harvesters get the same message, and they start moving toward the academy. Away from the train station, away from the bunker, away from the broker. Chae-won says they need to move now. Tae-ho stands up. His injured arm is still wrapped, but his mana is already flaring. Pale blue, steady. He says he's ready. Bae Soo-ah leads them out of the medical wing, down the back stairs, through a service exit, into the cold night air. The sirens are louder now. The academy is waking up. Students are emerging from shelters. Medical teams are still treating the wounded. But Jae-won doesn't stop. He follows Bae Soo-ah across the dark campus, past the ruined square, past the bell tower, past the East Wing where harvesters are already arriving. They reach the academy gates. The old iron bars are open. The city stretches out beyond them, dark, quiet, waiting. Bae Soo-ah looks at the road ahead. She says the train station is 20 minutes on foot. The bunker entrance is through a maintenance tunnel under platform 3. Her father will be in the central chamber, with the primary catalyst, and probably a dozen personal guards who didn't respond to the broadcast. Jae-won asks if she's ready to face him. Bae Soo-ah doesn't answer. She just starts walking. Tae-ho falls in beside Chae-won, asks if he's really doing this. Chae-won says the gatekeeper is waking up. The broker is losing control, and the only person who knows how to fix it is walking 10 feet ahead of them. Tae-ho says that's not an answer. Chae-won says it's the only answer he's got. They walk through the empty streets, past closed shops, past dark windows, past the old fountain in the city square. The train station looms ahead. Massive, crumbling, abandoned for decades. The roof is half collapsed. The windows are shattered. The tracks are rusted and overgrown with weeds. Bae Soo-ah leads them around the back, through a gap in the fence, down a set of concrete stairs, into the maintenance tunnel, It's dark, damp, smelling of rust and old oil. She pulls out a small flashlight, clicks it on. The beam cuts through the darkness, reveals a steel door at the end of the tunnel. Heavy, reinforced, covered in runes. Bae Soo-ah stops in front of it, says this is the entrance. Her father is on the other side. Jae-won asks if she's ready. Her cold eyes are wet, but her voice is steady. She says she's been ready for 15 years. She presses her palm against the door. The runes flare. The lock clicks open. The door swings inward, revealing a long corridor, lit by flickering fluorescent lights. At the end of the corridor, a massive chamber filled with monitors and cables. And in the center, a stone pedestal. On the pedestal, the primary catalyst. Glowing, pulsing, stable. And standing in front of it, with his back to the door, is the broker. He turns around slowly. His face is calm, just like his daughter's. He says he was wondering when they'd arrive. Jae-won steps into the chamber, Tae-ho at his side. Bae Soo-ah behind them. The broker looks at his daughter, says he's disappointed. She says she knows. He says he trained her better than this. She says he trained her to survive, and that's exactly what she's doing. The broker smiles. It's not a warm smile. He says survival isn't the same as betrayal. Bae Soo-ah says sometimes it is. Jae-won steps forward, says they're here to stabilize the catalyst. The broker looks at him, says he knows. He's been watching them since they left the greenhouse. He knows about the East Wing broadcast. He knows about the mana disruptor in Taeho's pocket. He knows everything. Jae-won asks if he's going to stop. The broker is quiet for a long moment. Then he says no. He's not going to stop them. Because he's tired. 15 years of maintaining the network. 15 years of sacrificing everything. 15 years of watching the catalysts fail one by one. He says he can't do it anymore. The network is dying. The gatekeeper is waking up. And the only people who might be able to stop it are standing in front of him. Jae-won stares at the broker. The man who's been hunting him. The man who sent harvesters to kill him. The man who's been containing an apocalypse for 15 years. And he's surrendering. Just like that. Jae-won asks if this is a trick. The broker says it's not a trick. It's a transfer. He steps away from the primary catalyst, gestures at the pedestal, says the network needs a new warden. Someone who can stabilize the catalysts. Someone who can keep the gatekeeper asleep. Someone who isn't him. He looks at Jae-won, then at Tae-ho, then at his daughter. Says one of them has to stay. One of them has to take his place. And the gatekeeper won't wait for them to decide. Heo Ji-woo walks into the classroom like she owns the place. Which is weird, because she's a transfer student. Mid-semester transfers almost never happen at this academy. Master Bae introduces her as a new combat specialist. She's got this calm, confident energy. Dark hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. Sharp eyes that scan the room like she's cataloging threats. And when her gaze lands on Jae-won, it stops. Just for a second. Just long enough for him to notice. She takes the empty seat 2 rows behind him. Class continues. Master Bae runs them through stance drills. But Jae-won can feel her eyes on the back of his neck. Not hostile, just watching. When the bell rings, she's already at his desk. She says her name is Heo Ji-woo. She says she knows who he is. She says she knows about the gate at the festival. He asks what she wants. He asks why he should believe her. She pulls a small metal pin from her pocket. A harvester pin. Crushed. She drops it on his desk. Says she's not with them anymore. Says she used to be. Says she knows things about the broker that nobody else does. Jae-won stares at the broken pin, then at her. He asks what kind of things. She glances around the half-empty classroom. Says not here. Says they need somewhere private. Jae-won texts Tae-ho. 3 words. New player. Courtyard. Now. They walk through the academy in silence. Ji-woo doesn't try to make small talk. She just matches his pace, keeps her eyes forward. Her hands loose at her sides. Ready for anything. Tae-ho is already waiting in the hidden courtyard. His injured arm is in a sling, but his good hand rests on a dagger at his belt. He looks at Ji-woo, then at Jae-won. Asks if this is a joke. Jae-won says it's not. Says she brought a broken harvester pin. Says she claims to know things. Tae-ho asks what kind of things. Ji-woo takes a breath. Then she drops the bomb. She says the broker's real name is Kang Jin-ho. She says he's her father. The courtyard goes dead silent. Tae-ho's hand tightens on his dagger. Jae-won just stares at her. He says Bae Soo-ah never mentioned a sister. Ji-woo's expression flickers, just for a moment. She says Soo-ah doesn't know she exists. She says her father kept her hidden, raised her in a separate facility, trained her to be his contingency plan, his backup, his spare. Jae-won asks what changed. Ji-woo says she found out what he's really doing. She says she read the containment files. She says she knows about the gatekeeper. She says she knows her father has been lying to everyone, even to Soo-ah. Taeho asks what kind of lies. Ji-woo says the Catalyst network isn't failing by accident. She says her father is letting it fail. On purpose. Jae-won's stomach drops. He asks why. Ji-woo says her father believes the gatekeeper can be controlled. That it's not just a door. That it's a weapon. He's been trying to weaponize it for 15 years. Every gate that opened was a test. Every catalyst that failed was a calculated sacrifice. He's been measuring how much mana the gatekeeper can absorb, how much it can output, how much destruction it can cause. And now he's ready for the final test. He's going to let the gatekeeper wake up, just enough to prove it can be aimed. Just enough to show the world what it can do. And then he's going to offer his services to the highest bidder, to the military, to the government, to anyone who will pay him to control an S-class entity. Jae-won feels sick. He asks if Soo-ah knows any of this. Ji-woo shakes her head, says Soo-ah thinks their father is a tragic hero. A warden sacrificing everything to contain a catastrophe. She doesn't know he's the one engineering the catastrophe. She doesn't know he's been using her as a pawn. A distraction. A loyal daughter who would never question his motives. Taeho asks why Ji-woo is telling them this. Why now? Ji-woo looks him dead in the eye, says because her father crossed a line. Says he ordered the harvesters to kill a group of first-years during the festival attack, just to see how the gatekeeper's energy affected civilian casualties. She says she watched the reports come in. She says she saw the names, and she decided she was done. Jae-won asks if she's willing to prove it. Ji-woo pulls a folded piece of paper from her jacket, hands it to him. It's a map. A detailed schematic of the old orphanage on the east side of the city. Marked with red ink. Security patrol routes. Camera blind spots. Underground access tunnels. And in the center of the map, a label. Site 0B, Secondary Containment Archive. Ji-woo says the orphanage isn't just a front. It's a data vault. Every experiment her father ever ran. Every catalyst he ever built. Every gate he ever opened on purpose. It's all documented there. Jae-won stares at the map. His hands are shaking. He asks why she can't just go get the files herself. Ji-woo says the vault is keyed to her father's mana signature. She can't open it. She knows someone who can. Someone who's been studying her father's containment protocols for weeks. Someone who broke a catalyst without even knowing how the network worked. Jae-won looks up. She's looking right at him. He says he's not a locksmith. Ji-woo says he doesn't need to be. She says the vault door is protected by a mana recognition array. It only opens for someone with Kang Jin-ho's specific mana frequency. But the array has a flaw, a backdoor her father built in case he ever got locked out himself. If someone can replicate the frequency of a catalyst stone, the door will open. And Jae-won has already handled 3 catalysts up close. His gloves have absorbed trace amounts of their mana, enough to fool the array, enough to get inside. Taeho whistles low, says that's a lot of trust to put in a stranger. Ji-woo says she's not asking for trust. She's asking for a chance. She says she'll go in first. She'll disable the internal security. She'll stand in front of the vault door unarmed. And if they decide she's lying, they can walk away. Or worse. She says she doesn't care anymore. She just wants her father stopped. Taeho looks at the map, then at Ji-woo, then back at Jae-won. He says it's a trap. Probably. Almost certainly. But they're running out of time. The third catalyst cracks at dawn. And if Ji-woo is telling the truth, her father isn't trying to stop it. He's trying to speed it up. Jae-won folds the map, tucks it into his jacket. Says they leave in an hour. Ji-woo nods. No smile. No relief. Just a nod. Like she expected nothing less. The 3 of them move through the academy in silence. Taeho stops at the medical wing to grab his gear. His mana disruptor. A handful of low-grade mana stones. A small combat knife he tucks into his boot. Jae-won checks his gloves. The silver threads pulse faintly. Still charged. Still holding trace mana from the catalysts he's touched. He hopes it's enough. Ji-woo waits by the gate. She's changed into dark clothes. Practical. Movement-friendly. She's got a small satchel slung across her chest. She doesn't say what's inside. They leave the academy grounds. The city is quiet. still recovering from the festival attack. Emergency crews are still clearing debris from the square. Nobody pays attention to 3 students walking toward the east side. The orphanage is a massive old building, 4 stories, crumbling brick, boarded windows, a rusted iron fence around the perimeter. It looks abandoned. It's not. Ji-woo leads them around the back, through a gap in the fence she clearly knows about, past an overgrown garden, down a set of stone stairs hidden under a collapsed shed. The basement door is steel, reinforced, covered in runes just like the bunker door. Ji-woo presses her palm against a specific rune. It flares. The door clicks open. She says the security cameras are on a loop. They've got 20 minutes before the system resets. They move fast. Through a dark corridor, past empty rooms filled with old furniture, down another set of stairs, into a sub-basement that shouldn't exist. The air gets cold. The walls change from brick to reinforced concrete. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead. And at the end of the corridor, a massive steel door, covered in runes, just like the bunker, but different, older, more complex. Ji-woo stops in front of it, says this is the archive, says everything her father ever did is behind this door. She turns to Jae-won, asks if he's ready. Jae-won steps forward. He raises his gloved hands, presses both palms against the cold steel. The runes flare. The silver threads in his gloves burn bright. He feels the catalyst mana respond. A faint hum, a vibration in his bones. The door groans. And then, slowly, it swings open. The archive is massive. Rows of filing cabinets, shelves stacked with binders, computer terminals covered in dust. And in the center of the room, a single table. On the table, a stack of files. The top file is open. Jae-won walks toward it. His heart is pounding. He looks down at the open page. It's a photograph. A massive stone door, covered in runes, exactly like the one in the Kang Jin-ho file. But this photo is different. The door is open, just a crack, and something is looking through. Jae-won stares at the photograph. His blood runs cold. The stone door is massive, covered in runes just like the vault door. But this one is open, just a crack. He can't see what it is. Just a shape, a shadow with too many angles. Ji-woo steps up beside him. She says that's the gatekeeper. That's what her father's been feeding for 15 years. Jae-won asks when this photo was taken. Ji-woo says 3 months ago. The door wasn't supposed to open at all. Not even a crack. Her father documented everything. Every experiment. Every failure. Every time the door moved a little more. Tae-ho is already at the filing cabinets. He's pulling drawers open, flipping through binders. Says they need to move faster. 20 minutes isn't a lot of time. Jae-won grabs the stack of files from the table. He starts reading. The first file is labeled Catalyst Network, Original Configuration. It shows the 7 catalysts, their locations, their activation dates. The bell tower was the first one built, 15 years ago, right after Kang Jin-ho discovered the gatekeeper. The greenhouse was second. The east wing was third. The train station bunker was fourth. The orphanage basement was fifth. There are 2 more. One under the academy's main hall, and one in a location Jae-won doesn't recognize, a place called Site 0. Ji-woo says Site 0 is where the gatekeeper actually is. Catalysts are just anchors. They form a containment ring around the real door. Jae-won keeps reading. The second file is thicker. Subject 7. Mana Absorption Metrics. It's a log, dating back 12 years. Every entry records how much mana the gatekeeper absorbed from ambient leakage, from deliberate feedings, from the catalyst failures. The numbers start small, tiny fractions, barely measurable, but they grow. Year after year, the gatekeeper is getting stronger. And 3 months ago, the numbers spiked. The same month the photograph was taken. The same month the door cracked open. Tae-ho pulls out a binder labeled Harvester Recruitment. He flips it open. It's a list. Names, dates, mana rankings, dozens of students. Some of them are still at the academy. Some graduated years ago. Some are dead. Hwang Do-yoon is on the list. Tae Soo-ah is on the list. And at the bottom, a name that makes Jae-won's stomach drop. Park Ha-nul, recruited 6 months before the festival, before Jae-won even regressed. Tae-ho says the broker's been planning this longer than any of them realized. Ji-woo moves to a computer terminal. She boots it up. The screen flickers. She types in a password. It works. She says her father used the same password for everything. Her mother's birthday. The terminal loads. Files upon files. Experiment logs. Containment protocols. And one folder labeled Project Awakening. Ji-woo opens it. Inside is a single document. A timeline. The first phase was catalyst destabilization. The broker wanted to see how many catalysts needed to fail before the door moved. The answer was 3. The second phase was mana feeding. He opened small gates near the catalysts. Let monsters through. Let them die near the anchors. Their mana bled into the network, fed the gatekeeper. The festival attack was a test. A controlled breach. He wanted to measure how much mana the gatekeeper absorbed from civilian casualties. The answer was a lot. The third phase is what's happening now. Full awakening. He's going to let all 7 catalysts fail. He's going to open the door completely. And he's going to see what comes through. Ji-woo's hands are shaking. She says her father isn't trying to contain the gatekeeper anymore. He's trying to control it. He thinks he can bind whatever comes through. Use it as a weapon. Become the most powerful man in the world. Taeho asks if that's even possible. Ji-woo says she doesn't know. But her father's never been wrong about mana mechanics. Not once. In 15 years. Jae-won keeps reading the files. The next one is labeled Containment Failures. Timeline. It lists every time a catalyst cracked. Every time the door moved. Every time something almost got through. The first failure was 8 years ago. The bell tower catalyst cracked during a routine maintenance check. The door opened for 3 seconds. Something reached through. It grabbed a technician, pulled him inside. They never found the body. The second failure was 5 years ago. The East Wing catalyst cracked during a student sparring match. A shockwave of mana from the arena hit the anchor. The door opened for 11 seconds. 3 things came through. They killed 2 harvesters before Kang Jin-ho sealed the door again. The third failure was the bell tower, the one Jae-won caused. The door opened for less than a second, but it was enough. The gatekeeper is awake now, and it's hungry. Ji-woo pulls up another file. This one is labeled Subject 7, Behavioral Analysis. It's a log of every interaction Kang Jin-ho had with the gatekeeper. Every time he fed it, every time it spoke to him. Because apparently it speaks. Not in words, in impressions, images, feelings. It showed him things. Places beyond the door. Worlds that existed before this one. Civilizations that fell. Gods that died. And one thing that survived. One thing that's been waiting for a very long time. Jae-won asks what it wants. Ji-woo scrolls down. She finds the last entry, dated 2 weeks ago. It says the gatekeeper made her father an offer. Let it through. Let it walk free. And it would give him everything. Power beyond measure. Knowledge beyond imagination. Immortality. Her father said no. At first. But then the catalyst started failing faster, and he realized he couldn't stop it. So he changed his mind. If he couldn't contain the gatekeeper, he'd join it. He'd help it break free. In return, he'd be the one who controlled it. The one who pointed it at his enemies. The one who ruled what was left. Taeho slams a drawer shut. He says they've got about 10 minutes left. They need to grab what they can and get out. Jae-won nods. He starts stuffing files into his jacket. The Catalyst Network schematics. The Containment Failure Timeline. The Harvester Recruitment List. The Behavioral Analysis. Everything that proves what Kang Jin-ho did. Everything that can expose him. Ji-woo is still at the terminal. She's downloading files onto a small data crystal. She says there's more here. Way more than they can carry. Years of research. Gate locations. Monster classifications. Weaknesses. Strengths. Everything her father ever learned about the world beyond the door. Jae-won asks if any of it tells them how to stop the gatekeeper. Ji-woo scrolls. She searches. And then she finds something. A file labeled Containment, Emergency Protocols. She opens it. It's a single page. 1 sentence. If the door opens, close it from the other side. Taeho reads over her shoulder. But it's the only protocol her father ever wrote for a full breach. The only plan he ever had for if everything went wrong. Jae-won stares at the sentence. Close it from the other side. That means someone has to go through. Someone has to enter the gatekeeper's world. And shut the door from inside. Taeho says that's suicide. Jae-won says it might be the only way. Ji-woo pulls the data crystal from the terminal. She tucks it into her satchel. She says they need to go. Now, the security system resets in 8 minutes. They move fast. Jae-won grabs the last of the files. Tae-ho takes the harvester recruitment binder. Ji-woo leads them back toward the vault door. But then the lights flicker, and a voice echoes through the archive. A voice Jae-won recognizes. Hwang Go-yoon. He says he was wondering when they'd show up. He's standing in the vault doorway. His mana-forged sword is drawn, glowing red. 3 harvesters are behind him. Do-yoon smiles, and his thanks for leading them right to the archive. Ji-woo steps forward. She says Do-yoon doesn't have to do this. He can walk away. Do-yoon laughs. He says he's been a harvester for 6 years. He's killed people for the broker. He's opened gates. He's fed the gatekeeper. He's in too deep to walk away now. He says the only way out is through, and the only way through is with the broker. Chaewon's gloves pulse, silver light, bright and steady. He says Do-yoon's making a mistake. Do-yoon says maybe, but it's his mistake to make. He lunges. Chae-won dodges. The red blade slices through a filing cabinet instead. Paper explodes everywhere. Tae-ho throws his mana disruptor at one of the harvesters. It hits the guy in the chest. The runes flare. His harvester pin shorts out. He screams, drops to his knees. Ji-woo moves fast. She pulls something from her satchel, a small metal sphere. She throws it at the other 2 harvesters. It detonates. Not an explosion, a pulse, a wave of compressed mana. It slams into them, throws them against the wall. They don't get up. Do-yoon doesn't stop. He swings again. Chae-won blocks with his forearm. The gloves flare. Silver light meets red, but the gloves hold. Do-yoon's eyes widen. He says those gloves shouldn't be that strong. Chae-won says they've absorbed catalyst mana. The same mana that's been feeding the gatekeeper. The same mana that Do-yoon's been helping harvest. Do-yoon snarls. He swings harder, faster. Chae-won can barely keep up, but he doesn't need to win. He just needs to buy time. Tae-ho is behind Do-yoon now. His combat knife is out. He moves quiet, low, fast. Do-yoon doesn't see him. Not until it's too late. Tae-ho drives the knife into Do-yoon's shoulder. Do-yoon screams. His sword clatters to the ground. He drops to one knee, blood soaking through his shirt. Chae-won kicks the sword away. He says it's over. Do-yoon laughs, a wet rasping sound. He says it's never over. The broker has dozens of harvesters, hundreds, and they're all coming. He says the gatekeeper is waking up. Nothing can stop it. He says they've already lost. Ji-woo steps forward. She looks down at Do-yoon. Her expression is unreadable. She says her father lied to him. To all of them. The gatekeeper isn't a weapon. It's a door. And what's on the other side doesn't make deals. It consumes. It destroys. It doesn't care about loyalty, or promises, or power. Do-yoon's face goes pale. He asks if that's true. Ji-woo says she read the files. All of them. Her father's been lying to the harvesters for years. They're not soldiers in a war. They're food. Sacrifices. Mana batteries to feed the thing behind the door. Do-yoon stares at her. His breathing is ragged. He says he didn't know. Ji-woo says no one did. That's the point. Tae-ho pulls the knife out. Do-yoon gasps. The security system resets in 4 minutes. Chae-won looks at Do-yoon. He asks if Do-yoon wants to make this right. Do-yoon looks up. His eyes are hollow. He asks how. Chae-won says the broker's bunker. The train station. He asks if there's another way in. A back entrance. Something the broker doesn't know about. Do-yoon hesitates. Then he nods. He says there's a maintenance shaft. Behind the old platform. It leads directly into the central chamber. Past the security checkpoints. Past the mana traps. Straight to the primary catalyst. Chae-won asks if the broker knows about it. Do-yoon says no. It was built before the broker took over the station. Before the bunker was even constructed. He's the only one who knows. Ji-woo crouches down. She asks Do-yoon if he'll help them. Do-yoon looks at her. Then at Jae-won. Then at the files scattered across the floor. The evidence of everything the broker did. Everything he helped do. He closes his eyes. He says he's already dead. The broker will kill him for failing here. The only question is how he dies. Chae-won says he can die trying to stop the man who lied to him, or he can die protecting him. Do-yoon opens his eyes. He says the maintenance shaft is behind a false wall. Third panel from the left. It's rust and shut. They'll need a crowbar. Or a mana burst. He says the shaft drops straight down, about 30 feet. There's a ladder. It's old. Be careful. Jae-won nods. He says thank you. Do-yeon laughs, a bitter, broken sound. He says don't thank him yet. The broker is waiting, and he's not alone. He says the gatekeeper is almost awake. When it opens its eyes, everything changes. Jae-won stands up. Tae-ho nods. We're done here. Ji-woo takes one last look at Do-yoon. She says she's sorry for what her father turned him into. Do-yoon doesn't answer. He just stares at the floor, bleeding, broken, waiting for the end. The three of them leave the archive, through the vault door, down the corridor, up the stairs, past the abandoned rooms, out through the basement door. The orphanage looms behind them, dark and silent. Jae-won's jacket is stuffed with files. Ji-woo's satchel holds the data crystal. Tae-ho's knife is still wet. They don't stop moving. They don't look back. They've got a train station to find, a bunker to infiltrate, a catalyst to stabilize, and a door to keep closed. The sky is starting to lighten. Dawn is coming. And with it, the third catalyst cracks. The maintenance shaft is exactly where Do-yeon said it would be, behind a rusted section of corrugated metal that hasn't been touched in decades. Tae-ho wedges his knife into the seam and pries. The panel groans. Rusted bolts snap. And there it is, a dark hole dropping straight down into nothing. Jae-won peers over the edge. 30 feet, maybe more. The ladder is old iron, bolted into concrete, crusted with rust, and something that might be dried blood. Ji-woo says the broker doesn't know about this entrance. She sounds certain. Tae-ho asks if she's sure. She says her father never mentioned it. Not once. Not in 15 years of briefings. Jae-won swings his legs over the edge and grabs the first rung. It holds. He starts climbing down. Air gets colder with every rung. It smells like wet stone and old copper, and something else. Something that hums. A low vibration in the walls, like the whole station is breathing. Tae-ho drops down behind him. Then Ji-woo. Her boots hit the concrete with a soft thud. They're in a narrow tunnel. Bare bulbs hang from the ceiling, flickering on and off. The walls are lined with old pipes, wrapped in insulation that's yellowed and peeling. Jae-won pulls out the map they grabbed from the orphanage. The maintenance shaft should lead straight to the central chamber, past the checkpoints, past the mana traps. Ji-woo takes point. She knows this place better than either of them. She moves fast and quiet, past junction boxes and dead generators and stacks of old equipment covered in dust. The humming gets louder. It's not mechanical. It's mana, a deep, resonant pulse that Jae-won can feel in his teeth. His gloves flare silver. The catalyst mana in them is reacting to something massive. Ji-woo stops at a steel door. She presses her palm against it. The door doesn't open. She says it's locked from the other side. Tae-ho pulls out the mana disruptor. He asks if she wants him to blow it. Ji-woo shakes her head. She says that'll set off every alarm in the bunker. She crouches down and pulls a small tool from her satchel. A thin metal probe with a glowing tip. She slides it into the keyhole. Her fingers move fast. The lock clicks. The door swings open, and they step into the central chamber. It's massive. A cavern carved out of solid rock, at least 100 feet across. The ceiling is lost in shadow. Catwalks crisscross overhead, lined with monitors and cables and mana conduits. And in the center of it all, on a raised stone platform, sits a throne. A throne made of monitors. Dozens of screens, stacked and welded together, all of them glowing. And on that throne sits Kang Jin-ho. He's older than Jae-won expected. Gray hair, sharp cheekbones, eyes that look like they've seen too much and forgotten nothing. He's wearing a simple black suit. No armor, no weapons, just a man on a throne of screens. He doesn't look surprised to see them. He looks bored. His voice echoes through the chamber. Calm, almost amused. Jae-won steps forward. His gloves are blazing now, silver light crawling up his forearms. He says it's over. Kang Jin-ho tilts his head. He asks, what exactly is over? Jae-won says the experiments, the harvesters, the gate attacks, all of it. Kang Jin-ho smiles. It's not a cruel smile, it's tired. He says Jae-won doesn't understand what he's been doing. He says no one does. Ji-woo steps out from behind Jae-won. She looks at her father. Her expression is hard. She says she read the files, all of them. She says she knows what he's been feeding the gatekeeper. Kang Jin-ho's smile falters. He says she shouldn't have gone to the orphanage. Ji-woo says she had to know the truth. She says he lied to her. To Sua, to everyone. He says he lied to protect them. Jiwoo says he lied to protect himself. Kang Jin-ho stands up. The monitors behind him flicker. Dozens of screens showing different feeds. Security cameras. Mana readouts. A live feed of the gatekeeper's door. It's open wider now. The crack is bigger than it was in the photograph. Something is definitely looking through. Kang Jin-ho says the gatekeeper is not what they think. He says it's not a monster, not a demon. It's something older, something that was here before the academy, before the city, before humans ever set foot on this continent. He says it's a guardian, a warden. It was put here to keep something else out. Something worse. Jae-won asks what could be worse than a door that eats people. Kang Jin-ho says the thing on the other side doesn't eat. It unmakes. He says the gatekeeper is the only thing standing between this world and total annihilation. And for 15 years, he's been keeping it alive, feeding it, strengthening it. Because the seals are failing, the catalysts are breaking down. And if the gatekeeper dies, the door opens. And what comes through won't stop until everything is gone. Tae-ho steps forward. His knife is out. He asks why Kang Jin-ho didn't just tell someone. Ask for help. Work with the academy. Kang Jin-ho laughs. It's a hollow sound. He says he tried. 15 years ago, he went to the academy board. He showed them the door. The catalysts. The gatekeeper. He told them what was coming. They called him insane. They said the door was a myth, a legend. They threatened to strip his rank and lock him in a containment cell if he ever mentioned it again. So he went underground. He built the bunker. He recruited the harvesters. He started feeding the gatekeeper himself. And for a while, it worked. The catalysts held. The door stayed closed. But then the catalysts started cracking, one by one. And he realized the gatekeeper needed more. More mana, more sacrifices, more everything. He says he didn't want to do it. He says he hated himself for it. But the alternative was worse. Jiwoo asks about the festival, the first years, the worm. She asks if that was necessary. Kang Jin-ho closes his eyes. He says no. He says that was a mistake. He says the gatekeeper asked for a test, a demonstration of what would happen if the door opened. He thought a controlled gate breach would be enough. A few monsters, a few casualties. Enough to convince the academy to take him seriously. But the gatekeeper took more than he offered. It always does. Jae-won says the gatekeeper isn't a guardian. It's a parasite. It's been manipulating Kang Jin-ho for 15 years, making him think he's saving the world when he's really just feeding it. Kang Jin-ho's eyes snap open. He says Jae-won doesn't know what he's talking about. Jae-won says he's seen the files. The behavioral analysis. The pattern of escalation. Every time Kang Jin-ho fed it, it asked for more. Every time he gave in, it pushed harder. It's not protecting anything. It's farming him. Kang Jin-ho's hands are shaking. He says the gatekeeper promised him. It promised to keep the door closed. It promised to protect humanity. Jae-won says it lied. Jiwoo says she's sorry. She says she knows he started out trying to do the right thing, but somewhere along the way, he lost himself. He became the thing he was trying to stop. Kang Jin-ho stares at her, his daughter, the contingency plan he raised in secret, the weapon he built to replace him if he failed. He says he did it all for her, for Soo-ah, for their mother, who died when the first catalyst cracked. Jiwoo says she knows. She says she read that file too. She says she knows he loved them. Love doesn't justify what he did. It doesn't bring back the students who died at the festival. It doesn't heal the harvesters he fed to the gatekeeper. It doesn't fix the catalysts he let break. Kang Jin-ho sinks back into his throne. The monitors flicker. The gatekeeper's door pulses on the screen. The crack is wider now, almost a foot. The shadow behind it is moving. Jae-won says they can still stop this. They can stabilize the remaining catalysts, reinforce the seals, find another way to keep the door closed, one that doesn't involve human sacrifices. Kang Jin-ho shakes his head. He says it's too late. The third catalyst is already cracking. By dawn, it'll fail. And when it does, the gatekeeper will wake up completely. It won't need him anymore. It won't need anyone. It'll open the door on its own. And everything ends. Tae-ho asks where the third catalyst is. Kang Jin-ho points at the floor. He says they're standing on it. The entire bunker is built around the primary catalyst, the one that anchors the whole network. If it cracks, the other three go with it. Jae-won looks down. The stone beneath his feet is glowing, faintly, pulsing, like a heartbeat. Like the greenhouse catalyst, but 100 times stronger. He can feel it through his gloves. The mana is immense, ancient, and it's fracturing. Jiwoo asks if there's a way to stabilize it. Kang Jin-ho says there is, but it requires a sacrifice. Someone has to pour their mana into the catalyst. All of it. Every drop. It'll kill them. But it'll buy the world another year. Maybe two. Jiwoo looks at her father. She asks if that's what he was planning to do. Kang Jin-ho doesn't answer. He just stares at the screen. At the door. At the shadow, looking through. Jae-won says there has to be another way. He didn't come this far to watch someone die. Not again. Not after the festival. Not after everything. Tae-ho says they could overload the catalyst. Pump it with so much mana that it resets. Like a surge protector. It wouldn't be stable, but it wouldn't crack. Not immediately. Jiwoo asks if that would work. Kang Jin-ho says it might, but they'd need an enormous amount of mana. More than any single person could produce. More than all three of them combined. The silver light is still blazing. Catalyst mana. Absorbed from 3 different catalysts. The same frequency as the primary. He asks if the gloves would be enough. Kang Jin-ho stares at him. He says it's possible. The catalyst mana in the gloves is already attuned to the network. If Jae-won channels it into the primary catalyst, it could act as a bridge, a stabilizer. But it would destroy the gloves, and the feedback might kill him. Jae-won says he's survived worse. He steps toward the platform. Primary catalyst is right there. A massive black stone, easily the size of a boulder, covered in runes that are flickering like dying stars. The cracks are visible now. Thin lines of red light spreading across the surface. Jiwoo grabs his arm. She says he doesn't have to do this. Jae-won says yes, he does. He says this is what he came back for. Not to sell secrets. Not to get rich. To stop the gate break. To save the people who died in his timeline. This is his chance. Tae-ho nods. He says he'll cover Jae-won if anything goes wrong. If the broker tries anything. Jae-won climbs onto the platform. The primary catalyst is warm. He can feel the heat through his gloves. The runes are pulsing. Faster now, like they know what's coming. He places both palms on the stone. The silver light in his gloves flares, bright, blinding. And then he pushes. Every drop of catalyst mana he's absorbed flows out of the gloves and into the stone. The runes scream. The cracks glow white-hot. The whole chamber shakes. Monitors spark and shatter. Kang Jin-ho stands up. He's shouting something. Jae-won can't hear him. The roar of mana is too loud. It's like standing inside a thunderstorm. His gloves are burning. The silver threads are unraveling. The leather is smoking. But the catalyst is stabilizing. The cracks are closing. The red light is fading. The pulse is slowing. It's working. And then Kang Jin-ho moves. He's fast. Faster than a man his age should be. He lunges at Jae-won, something glinting in his hand. A syringe, full of black liquid. Tae-ho intercepts him. His knife catches Kang Jin-ho's arm. The syringe clatters to the ground. Kang Jin-ho snarls. He says they don't understand. If the catalyst stabilizes, the gatekeeper will starve. It'll die, and the door will open. Jae-won doesn't stop. The last of the catalyst mana drains from his gloves. The primary catalyst glows once, bright and clean. And then it goes dark. The cracks are gone. The runes are steady. The pulse is strong. Jae-won pulls his hands away. His gloves are ruined, burnt and shredded. But the catalyst is stable. Kang Jin-ho stares at it. He says they've doomed them all. Jiwoo picks up the syringe. She looks at the black liquid inside. She asks what it is. Kang Jin-ho says it's concentrated gatekeeper essence. He was going to inject it into the catalyst, to accelerate the awakening, to force the door open on his terms, not the gatekeepers. He says it was the only way to control what came through. Jiwoo drops the syringe. She crushes it under her boot. She says her father is done. No more experiments. No more sacrifices. No more lies. Kang Jin-ho looks at her. His daughter. His contingency plan. The weapon he built to replace him. He says she's making a mistake. Jiwoo says she's fixing his. Tae-ho ties Kang Jin-ho's hands behind his back. The man doesn't resist. He just stares at the stabilized catalyst. At the screen showing the gatekeeper's door. The crack is still there, but it's not growing anymore. The shadow behind it is still. Waiting. Jae-won climbs down from the platform. His gloves are gone, but the primary catalyst is stable. 4 more to go. And they've got time now. Maybe not much, but enough. He looks at Jiwoo. She's standing over her father. Her expression is unreadable. He asks if she's okay. She says she will be. She says she's been waiting 15 years to see her father face the truth. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like an ending. The security system is still resetting. They've got maybe 10 minutes before the harvesters figure out what happened. Jae-won nods. He looks at the monitors, at the feeds showing the other catalysts. The greenhouse is green. The bell tower is dark. The east wing is flickering, and the train station is steady. 3 down, 4 to go. They've bought themselves a week, maybe 2. He turns to leave. And that's when the screen changes. Every monitor in the chamber switches to the same feed. The gatekeeper's door. The crack is wider. Not by much, but enough. And the shadow behind it is pressing forward. Something is coming through. Kang Jin-ho laughs. A broken, desperate sound. The gatekeeper doesn't need the catalysts anymore. It's been fed enough. It's strong enough. It's waking up on its own, and there's nothing any of them can do to stop it. The screen flickers. The gatekeeper's door. Almost a foot across. Jae-won stares at it. His hands are still shaking from the catalyst stabilization. His gloves are gone. Burnt scraps of leather and silver thread on the floor. But none of that matters right now. Because something is coming through. Kang Jin-ho laughs from where Tae-ho tied him up. It's a broken sound. Desperate and hollow. It's been fed enough. It's strong enough. Jae-won doesn't answer. He's watching the shadow. It's not just pressing forward anymore. It's reaching. A hand. Long fingers. Too many joints. Pressing against the crack from the other side. Jiwoo steps back. Her face is pale. She asks what that thing actually is. Her father says it's a warden, a guardian put in place to keep something worse out. But it's also a parasite. It eats mana. It eats sacrifices. And it's been starving for 15 years. Tae-ho tightens the ropes around Kang Jin-ho's wrists. Right now. They've got maybe 8 minutes before the harvesters figure out what happened. Jae-won nods. But he doesn't move. He's still looking at the screen, at the hand pressing through the crack. And then the screen changes. Not the feed, the screen itself. The image of the door flickers, and a new face appears. A girl. Maybe 17 years old. Short black hair, sharp eyes. She's standing in what looks like a dorm room. But it's not any dorm Jae-won recognizes. The walls are wrong. The window shows a sky that's too red. She looks directly into the camera, and she speaks. She says her name is Ma Hae-jin. She says she doesn't have much time. She says Kang Jin-ho's death fractured something. Jae-won blinks. Kang Jin-ho isn't dead. He's tied up 20 feet away. But the girl on the screen keeps talking. She says in her timeline, Jin-ho died 3 days ago, killed by Jae-won and his team in the central chamber. And when he died, his final regression spell didn't fire correctly. It shattered. It split reality into fragments. Every version of Kang Jin-ho that ever existed. Every timeline where he survived. Every loop where he found a different way to keep going. They're all waking up now, and they're all connected. Jiwoo grabs Jae-won's arm. She asks who this girl is. Ma Hae-jin says she's a regressor. Same as Jae-won, same as Tae-ho. But she's from a timeline that already lost. A timeline where the gatekeeper got through. She says the fragments are converging. Every version of Kang Jin-ho is becoming aware of every other version. They're sharing knowledge, sharing plans, sharing power, and they're all heading toward the same point, this timeline, this moment. Jae-won looks at Kang Jin-ho, the real one, the one tied up on the floor. He's not laughing anymore, he's listening. His face is unreadable. Jae-won asks if he knew about this. Kang Jin-ho says he suspected. He says the regression spell was never meant to be used more than once. Each time he used it, the cracks got wider, not just in the catalyst network, in reality itself. Ma Hae-jin's image flickers. Static crawls across the screen. She says she's running out of time. The connection is unstable. But she has one more thing to tell them. The fragments aren't just sharing knowledge. They're uniting, becoming one entity. A composite Kang Jin-ho, with all the knowledge of every timeline, all the power, all the desperation. And it's coming here. Right now, the screen goes black. Jae-won stares at it. Tae-ho says that's not good. Jiwoo says that's the understatement of the century. She turns to her father. She asks if he knew this would happen. Kang Jin-ho says he hoped it wouldn't. He says he always knew the spell had risks, but he never thought it would fracture this badly. He says the composite version of him, the one made of all his fragments. It won't be him anymore. It'll be something else. Something that only wants one thing, to open the door. Jae-won looks at the monitors. The gatekeeper's door is still there. The crack is still widening. The hand is still reaching. But there's something new on the feed. A figure, walking toward the door. It's Kang Jin-ho, but not the one tied up on the floor. This one is younger, maybe 30 years old. His clothes are different. His eyes are glowing, and he's walking toward the gatekeeper's door like he owns it. Tae-ho says they need to shut this down, right now. He asks if there's a way to stop the fragments from converging. Kang Jin-ho says there might be. He says the regression spell left a tether, a connection between all the fragments. If they can find the anchor point, the thing that's pulling them all together, they can sever it. Ji-woo asks where the anchor point is. Kang Jin-ho looks at the screen. At the younger version of himself walking toward the door, he says it's at Site 0, the real door. The one the catalysts were built to contain. The one the gatekeeper is trying to push through. Jae-won says that's insane. Site 0 is buried under the city. It's been sealed for 15 years. Kang Jin-ho says the seal is failing. The catalysts were holding it, but Jae-won stabilized the primary one. That bought them time. Maybe a year, maybe 2. The fragments don't need the catalysts to fail. They're already connected to the door. They're already feeding it. Ma Hae-jin's voice crackles through the speakers. Her image flickers back onto one of the monitors. She says she can guide them. She knows the way to Site 0. She's been there before. In her timeline. When everything fell apart. Tae-ho looks at Ji-woo. Kang Jin-ho says if they go to Site 0, they won't come back. The door is too close to opening. The gatekeeper is too strong. And the composite version of him, it'll be there, waiting. Jae-won says he's not afraid of Kang Jin-ho. Not any version of him. He says he came back to stop the gate break. And if that means walking into Site 0 and facing down every fragment of a madman, then that's what he's going to do. Ji-woo says she's coming with him. She says her father started this. She's going to help finish it. Tae-ho sighs. He says he's been through 5 loops of this nightmare. What's one more trip into the abyss? Ma Hae-jin's image stabilizes. She says she'll meet them at the entrance to Site 0. She's already on her way. She says they need to hurry. The fragments are converging faster now. The composite is almost complete. Jae-won looks at Kang Jin-ho one last time. He asks if there's anything else they need to know. Kang Jin-ho says one thing. He says the composite version of him isn't just after the door. It's after the gatekeeper. It wants to merge with it, to become something new. Something that can rewrite reality, not just regress it. Rewrite it completely. Jae-won's jaw tightens. He says that's not going to happen. He turns to Tae-ho and Ji-woo. He says they're leaving. Right now. Tae-ho grabs the data crystal from the terminal. Ji-woo pockets the files they pulled from the cabinets. They head for the maintenance shaft. The ladder is still there. Rusted iron bolted into concrete. Jae-won climbs first. His hands are raw from the catalyst feedback, but he doesn't slow down. Tae-ho follows. Then Ji-woo. They climb up into the narrow tunnel with the flickering bulbs. The humming is louder now, deeper, like something breathing. Ma Hae-jin's voice crackles through Jae-won's phone. She says she's at the entrance. Site 0 is under the old city square, the one that was abandoned after the first gate opened 15 years ago. Jae-won knows the place. He walked past it every day in his original timeline, never knowing what was buried underneath. They move through the tunnel, past the old pipes, past the sparkling monitors. The bunker door is still open. The train station is still empty. They climb the stairs to the surface. On is maybe an hour away. The air is cold. Jae-won can see his breath, and he can see Ma Hae-jin. She's standing at the edge of the old city square, exactly where she said she'd be. She looks younger in person. Her black hair is pulled back. Her eyes are sharp, but tired. She says they don't have much time. The fragments are almost united. She can feel them, pressing against reality, like a storm about to break. Jae-won asks how they get into Site 0. Ma Hae-jin points to a manhole cover in the center of the square. It's rusted, covered in old warning signs. She says the entrance is down there, a stairway that goes about 200 feet underground, straight to the door. Jae-won walks toward it. Tae-ho grabs his shoulder. He says once they go down there, there's no coming back. Not until this is finished. Jae-won says he knows. He says that's the point. He pries open the manhole cover. The metal groans. Cold air rushes up from below. It smells like ozone, like lightning, like something ancient and hungry. then at Jiwoo, then at Ma Hae-jin. He says, "Let's finish this." And he climbs down into the dark. The stairway is narrow, concrete walls, old cables running along the ceiling, emergency lights flickering every few feet. Humming gets louder with every step. Deeper, more resonant, like a heartbeat. They descend for what feels like forever. 200 feet, maybe more. And then the stairway opens up into a cavern, massive, bigger than anything Jae-won has ever seen. The walls are covered in runes, thousands of them, all glowing faintly. And in the center of the cavern, the door. It's exactly like the photograph. Massive stone, covered in runes. But the crack isn't a crack anymore. It's a gap, wide enough for a person to walk through. And standing in front of it, facing them, is Kang Jin-ho. Not the one they left tied up in the bunker. This one is different, younger, stronger. His eyes are glowing with the same light as the runes. And behind him, in the gap of the door, the shadow is waiting. Ma Hae-jin says that's him, the composite. Every fragment united into one. The Kang Jin-ho in the doorway smiles. He says he's been expecting them. He says they're just in time to watch the door open.